Food is Medicine event, you were in the right space. If you did not come for that event, you're still in the right space. We welcome you. My name is Oshabi Craig. I'm the director here at the Center for Arts, Migration, and Entrepreneurship. And we're really excited to be here. This event represents probably about 7 months of conversation and really about 18 months of ideation that kind of bring us here today. We're excited about what this represents. We're excited about the partnership. We're also excited about phones ringing. But we're excited about the idea of what food means to us. Our center, the Center for Arts, Migration, and Entrepreneurship, you'll oftentimes hear people in the community say CAME. So when they're saying, oh, I'm going to a CAME event, this is what they mean. Our whole center is really focused on the idea of how powerful culture is, how it brings us together. And one of the things that we have always talked about as an idea and something that we realize in culture is that food and food culture are critically important to how we understand identity, culture, and movements in the world. And so to be here today, really leaning into that idea and framework in the context of food is medicine is really exciting. The first thing I want to do is I want to give a huge shout out to the partners that helped to make this happen, starting with our folks at the College of the Arts, and ooh, I'm messing up. Let me go get one of these cards. Got a green that I left on the table. Not a single one of it. Okay, so if you didn't know, there's a program that's hosted out of the College of the Arts called the Creative Bee Program. And Creative Bee is all about introducing students in the summertime to all the incredible programming that happens around campus. That's the framing of it. The theme this year is sustainability. There's programming that's happening from June 30th to August 8th. You were here at the best one because you're here at the Food is Medicine event. We'll be back here tomorrow, so if you came today and thought it was just going to be over today, this is just the beginning. So please come and hang out with us tomorrow. There are also going to be events happening next week, translating research through music with Dr. Julian, which is a residency, who's also goes by the name of No Boy. But please, if you haven't, grab one of these cards that are on the table out there, or grab one up here, scan the QR code, tell the people that you had a great time, let the people know that Creative Bee is great stuff. Okay. In addition to that, I want to give a big shout out to Carla Shellnut and Dina from UF IFAS and Dr. Bola, all from IFAS. IFAS is our Institute for Food and Agricultural Sciences. Huge and amazing programming, and happy to have them here as a partner. We want to give a big shout out to all of our folks and friends and partners at Working Food, who in many ways you're seeing many of the working food ecosystem here represented today amongst the chefs that are here. And our sister center, the Center for Arts and Medicine. We are so thankful for their partnership and work in this. CAME does a lot of things. You should check out our website. You should actually subscribe for our newsletter if you don't know about that. For those that got to this event today, is this your first CAME? If this is your first CAME event, put your hand in the air. I'm just curious to know. Oh, yes. Oh, welcome to the universe of CAME. It's going to be a good rise. So for those that are new in the room, make sure you sign up for the newsletter, not just about the programming that we do, but the programming that happens in our community that we try to connect and build community around culture, around arts, around creativity, around innovation. So we're excited to have you in the room. And if you have time, please come back tomorrow. It's going to be amazing as well tomorrow. Because time is short and I want to make sure that we get to the food part, which is why everybody came, I'm going to introduce our affiliate faculty member, the incredible Dr. Ariel D. Smith, who is at Wake Forest University, who is an absolute expert in food entrepreneurship, in food culture specifically. We are happy to have her here to help facilitate and really guide us through this journey that we're going to be on for the next couple of days. And again, if you have time to come back tomorrow, Dr. Smith is going to be presenting some of her specific work for us to kick off the event tomorrow. But please put your hands together for Dr. Ariel D. Smith.
All right. So hey everybody, how y'all doing? Yes, that's the energy we came for. We better have some good food. So listen, before the items kick in, let's make sure that we have some great energy. And I just want to say thank you all for being here. I want to say thank you to Kane, thank you to all the partners who have brought me here and all the wonderful people who are making this possible. Could not do that without you, so thank you, thank you, thank you all for being here. There's going to be a lot that's going to be happening today and tomorrow, so yes, I want you to come back tomorrow. But one of the big takeaways is, what is this and what is not? But I'm from Alabama, so I say what it is and what it ain't. So, what is not? What it ain't. This is not a lecture, right? This is gonna be engaging. There's gonna be moments where we talk to you, but there's also moments we want you to talk back to us. There's gonna be those moments we want you to talk to each other. I come from a call and response type of people, so sometimes we're gonna say something and you say, that's good. Don't hold that back. Say that, okay? Bring that energy into this space. There's gonna be a lot of things that's gonna happen. We're gonna do recipes, demonstrations, cooking demonstrations. There's gonna be workshops. There's gonna be opportunities to get your hands dirty. There's gonna be opportunities for you to write down your thoughts. I invite you to do all of those things, okay? I invite you to do all of those things. But here's the big piece though. There's a lot of different people that have come together to put this event together. And all of us have these goals that we hope that by the end of it, you walk away with some things. But if I had to summarize it, what would those things be? I would say that the big hope that all of us have, from me to Kane to IFAS to everybody that's involved, is that you spark a spark of intellectual curiosity. There's a lot of people that you're going to see over the next 2 days. We're going to introduce you to a lot of themes, a lot of concepts. Some of them might have made sense to you. Some of them may have been unfamiliar. Some of them like, you know what, I never thought about that. That could be an avenue for you to perhaps choose a different field of study. It could be an opportunity for you to get involved in the community. It could be that you invite a different partner on campus. It could be that you try a different restaurant. Let your curiosity shine in that. We also invite you to make sure that food is not just something that you eat. It's not something that you're rushing through on campus because you're hungry. We want you to see all the ways that food is personal, it's cultural, it's political, it's medicine, it's communal. It's all of those things, and we invite you to really rethink what is your relationship with food. But finally, also to understand that this isn't just about what food can do for you, it's also what you can do with food. Is it that you can bring memories together? Is it that you can bring people together? Is it that you can use it to maybe use it for medicine, quite literally, when you're sick? Or is it a way that you can maybe think about a loved one that you have? So I invite you to be curious. I invite you to be open. I invite you to share your knowledge, because we all have it. It's not just the person with the microphone. All of you have something rich to bring to this. All of you have an ingredient to come here, and we can't wait to see what's in store. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to our keynote, Dr. Bola. I'm so excited. Dr. Bola is the Associate Vice President and Director of the Global Food System Institute here at the University of Florida, and is a Professor of International Agriculture and Animal Nutrition. Dr. Bola is all on you.
I'm very overdressed, and I don't see Carla here. I was going to blame Carla for this. She didn't prepare me well. But thank you all for being here. I was asked to speak about nourishment across the lifespan. I'm looking for a pointer or something. I'm lost without it. Thank you. And so I'm going to focus today on animal source foods. Meat, milk, eggs, dairy, cheese, fish, and we'll just run through that. Okay. But before I do that, I'm Nigerian originally, and we have so many good food items. So here in the South, they say, you know, you eat some things make you want to slap your mama. I can take you to Nigerian restaurants. Not here, unfortunately, we don't have them here in Gainesville. But if you went back with me to Nigeria, I would feel for your mama, because she'd just be slap, slap, slap. Anyway, you can't see this very well, but this is very typical. This is, many of you call this fufu, but this would be pounded yam, and then this would be a goosey. Can I be indecent? My wife said that I should stop eating this because it gives me the runs. I said it's worth it. So this is a beef stew that you have with rice. This is our signature thing here, jollof rice. You hear the Ghanaians, you hear people from Senegal talking rubbish that they haven't got a clue.
I'll have some history about jollof.
Yeah, you have plantains, but not like my Latino brothers and sisters make it. So delicious, okay? So I can talk about this forever. And then the next, okay, yeah. This is just soups. Okay, this is just a different Nigerian soups. I don't even know all of them. I went to a restaurant in Nigeria some time ago, this year. When I finished eating, I called the person in charge, the woman who owned it. I said, I'm really upset because you have failed in a certain way. I have face sunk, And I said, your description of this food is wrong. It's not complete. And it was fisherman's soup. And I said, you need to call it husband snatcher fisherman's soup. And she cracked up and she said, yes, we'll change the name. So there are all kinds of soups you can get in Nigeria. But today I'm going to talk a little bit more about global, where is it? Is it somewhere?
Aim of
That
I
working?
think it's just a little slow.
Okay, so here is the outline, and I have too much, the boss man has told me to cut short my presentation, so I'm going to skip a bunch of slides and just give you a general overview. But I'm going to talk about malnutrition and why animal source foods are unique. And then I'm going to talk about how they play an important role in nutrition across the lifespan. I want to spend a little bit time talking about milk, and I want to then finish by talking about challenges with animal source foods, because there are some. And I want to preface everything by saying this. We live in a country where we're blessed to choose our dietary preferences. And so please, anything I say today, don't count it as being against a particular food preference. So I'll say certain things about animal source foods, I'll show some data. If you're a vegetarian, you're a vegan, please, I'm not knocking that, please hear me. I'm just sharing the data, and I just want us all to be informed. And of course, you're welcome, and it's absolutely your right to have your own preference. Okay. So let's start, first of all, with the subject, global hunger. Okay, so this blows my mind. By 2050, Nigeria is going to become the third most populous country in the world. Okay, so that's mind-blowing. So the population of the world will be about 10 billion by 2050, and most of that growth is going to be in the global south. Okay. And you can see it's not just Nigeria, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Bangladesh, Brazil, all those countries, some of them already in the top 10. The other thing to note is that there's going to be a drastic increase in demand for animal source foods, meat, milk, eggs, as these populations grow. If you look at the demand for dairy, for eggs and meat and so on, in Western countries like the US, it's kind of leveling off. But in the global south, the demand is increasing. As people become more wealthy, they want these foods in their diets. And that's what this graph is showing. Now, one of the things is when we look around the world, when we look around ourselves here, look around the room, look around wherever we live, we don't see this. But there's a lot of hunger and malnutrition, even here in the US. And so it says over 3 billion people cannot afford a healthy diet. Over 800 million are hungry. And something I really want to hit on today is this issue of stunting. Stunting is when children don't get the right nourishment for their brains in infancy and their brains don't develop well. So not just that they are physically stunted in growth, but also their brains are stunted. And there's overweight. So stunting, thankfully, the number of percentage of children stunted is decreasing. This is the percentage of children who are wasted. This is when they have low weight for their age. Stunting is low height for the weight. So these are issues linked to malnutrition, and they can be caused by conflict or bad governance, corruption, those types of issues. Now, unfortunately, stunting is what I call a preventable tragedy, because if children are properly nourished, if there's proper hygiene, it can be prevented. But in many parts of the world, it isn't, and it kills about 45% of children under 5. If a mother is stunted, a child is very likely to be stunted. So it's a real problem. I call it something that condemns kids to a lifetime of underperformance and underachievement. And where do we have most of the stunting in the world? It's in sub-Saharan Africa, it's in South Asia, as you can see on this graph here, but even in the US here, 3% of our kids are stunted. So it's a problem here as well. I'm going to skip wasting and go to anemia. This is iron deficiency. So about 45% of people, about 40% of pregnant women around the world are anemic. Even here in this country, many women are anemic. They don't have enough iron. Okay. No, I'm not pointing at anybody. Okay. So in the US as well, we have food insecurity. Sometimes we think it's all out there, but we have food deserts here. We have areas that are not served by nourishing foods. And so this is showing that food insecure households, about 20%, 17.3% of households, even here in the US, are food insecure. So it's not just an issue that's far away. A few months ago, I went up to Putnam County and went to the Melrose Center. So if you drive into Melrose, the Melrose Center is right there on the right, just before the traffic lights. And the director was telling me, Bola, the same kinds of food insecurity issues that you see in Africa, we have right here in Putnam County. So it's not just a foreign thing. So are animal source foods important? Are they unique? Yes. Why? First of all, we call them animal proteins because the protein they contain is of a superior quality, because it contains all the building blocks, the amino acids, whereas the plant proteins lack one or more, for the most part. And then they're also more digestible. And that's what you see here. This is milk and whey and beef and so on. This is soy and pea. Again, I'm not here to knock plant protein. I'm just here to provide information. And this is showing different types of micronutrients and macronutrients you get in animal source foods that either you don't get from plant foods or you don't get the natural form from plant foods. So it's not just the protein, the iron, zinc, calcium, all those are more bioavailable from the animal source foods. That means that if an infant is fed a plant source and an animal source that have the same concentration, that infant will absorb and use more from the animal source. Because it's natural, it's more bioavailable. Vitamin B12, for instance, the only source in the diet, unless you eat a whole bunch of seaweed. Anybody here, you eat a lot of seaweed? A lot? I mean a lot. I mean a lot. Okay. Maybe later on we'll ask how much seaweed you eat. So because they contain so many different important macronutrients, I've started telling the animal industry to stop calling it animal protein. I've started telling them that you are misleading and causing people to misunderstand when you talk about animal protein, because there are so many other macronutrients that are in those animal source foods. And somebody published a paper in Nature, which is one of the top science magazines, and called them brain foods. I didn't come up with that term, that person did. And I think that's a very important and appropriate term. If we look at, sorry, let me go back here. Okay, so this is showing in yellow, it should be orange and blue, yeah, the wrong orange, yeah. So it's showing here the proportion of animal source to plant-sourced foods for different continents. What is very clear is that for Africa and Asia, the proportion of animal-sourced food in the diet is a small fraction of that in the West, in the other countries of the world. Okay? Now, where are those places where you have the greatest levels of malnutrition? Is those same places where you have the least consumption of the animal-sourced foods. So it's not a coincidence. This is a graph showing dairy consumption across the world. Forget about everything in between. Just look at on the left-hand side, that's a liter of milk a day. A year is what's consumed in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Whereas here in Sweden or Finland is 300 liters per person per year. You see a huge difference there? Huge, huge difference. Now, so what I'm going to be talking about, we don't need to bother about all this detail, is animal source foods and how important they are through the lifespan at different stages of life. So first of all, this graph here, pretty graph, forget about it. This is what's most important. This is from United Nations Children Education Fund. And what they're saying is 60% of children don't get the nutrients they need from the animal source foods. That's important. World Health Organization says animal source foods are the best source of high quality nutrients for children aged 6 to 23 months. Why would they say that? It's because they have all these micronutrients and the forms they have are more absorbable than what the plants have. So these are important nutrients that are affecting brain development for an infant. And when these are lacking in the diet, guess what happens? The brain size is reduced. The neurons that transmit messaging in the brain, they are compromised. The cognition is impaired. The neurotransmitters that transmit the messages, they don't fire well. The myelination, that's the sheets that surround the nerve cells that conduct the message. All that, so eventually that child has a lower IQ just because of poor nutrition. So it's very important that we, I'm going to skip this, we think about what our kids eat. And this is something from WHO, from World Health Organization. If a child, if an infant lacks proper nourishment, their growth is impaired, they are more likely to be diseased, there is a greater risk of death, then cognition itself is also affected. They're more susceptible to diseases, and on and on and on like that. And I didn't know this for many, many years, even though I was a professor. I only discovered this some years ago. This was a study that was done in Ecuador. And what they wanted to do was see that if we feed just an egg a day to a child, an egg a day, okay, to an infant, what effect would that have on these malnutrition numbers in the child, in the children? What they found was that just feeding an egg a day to a child reduced this stunting problem by 47%. This made the national news across the world, okay? And we've done some subsequent studies along these lines. Just an egg a day really boosted the performance of these children. I'm not going to go into this. These are studies, these are meta-analyses, are summaries of many different studies that try and show an overall trend. And these are basically showing that with animal source foods in the diet, nutrition and physical growth of children was increased. This is across almost 1,500 kids in Africa and Asia. And then, let me see. Okay, and this is here in the US, this is kids of 5 to 9 months old, and this is showing improved measures of, and they had a very neat thing where they had the adults serve milk to the kids. Blessed my socks off. I just loved it. I just loved it. Now, in Rwanda, they say our cows, our milk, our life. Okay? This is their saying. And they venerate the cows. But look at this. This is from the National Childhood Development Agency. Percentage of kids that eat meat, about 17%. Eggs, 6%. Milk, 2.5%. Very sad. Very pitiful. Very low. And so what this official was telling me, Bola, tell them about stunting, because we have poor people who have been given a cow by the government. And what these poor people do, they sell all that milk. And their children's brains don't develop well. They sell the milk and they scrimp and save and use the money to buy a uniform so that the child looks good. And she said, scare them so they understand the importance of keeping some of that money and using it to nourish that child. Keeping some of that milk and using it for that child. So she told me to do that. And we have been doing that. But even with all that, the levels are still low. A colleague showed me this graph some time ago. There's a concern in Europe that children, there's an epidemic of vitamin D. And they are concerned that things like rickets, which we got rid of many, many decades ago, are coming back. And there's a concern that this is due to inadequate exposure to sunlight, but also to diet. Okay? And one of the trends which we will talk about, I'm not saying it's not causal, but people are replacing animal source foods with plant alternatives, and the animal source foods are the only natural source of vitamin D3, which is the best form. So these are issues which are happening. This is a study which changed my life. I was a humble animal science professor, animal nutrition, doing my dairy and feed sheep and goat feeding studies. When I lived in England, I lived there for 10 years. So 2 girls, I moved into an apartment with them. They heard that I was doing animal feeding studies. You know what they said to me? You wicked, wicked, wicked man. And they meant it. And it's because in England, less so than here, people don't know where their food comes from. So what you're all doing here is extremely important. And they thought I was wicked just because I was doing that studies to understand what types of feed are better for animals so that they can grow healthy and so on. This changed my life. This was a study that was done with kids in Kenya. They were fed corn and beans. Corn, energy, beans, protein. Good diet, right? Yeah? These folks said, let's see what would happen if we just get a matchbox size of meat and add it to the diet of these kids. Or let's add a cup of milk to their diets. Or let's give them extra energy. We'll give them a teaspoonful of oil. Okay? What they found blew my mind. And like I said, it changed my life. Where is this thing? Okay. Oh. There's a graph. Sorry, there's a graph that's.
There you go.
No? Yeah, that's it. Okay, this one. So that beans and corn is called, anybody here from Kenya? Anybody? Yes, Githeri.
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 Yes.
Okay, forget my Nigerian Swahili. So what they found was that the children, when they took their test scores across all subjects, averaged them over 2 school years. Those who got the matchbox of meat, their test scores increased by, wait for it, 45%.
Wow.
That was my expression. I never knew before then that what kids eat could affect their test scores. Those who got the milk, their test scores improved by 28%. Those who got the extra energy, there was no improvement. This blew my mind, and really changed my horizon from focusing on what animals eat just for the sake of what animals eat, to focusing on what animals eat in order to better nourish people. Okay. So, thank you. Okay, we can skip this one. Okay, this is a good one. This is showing how much of different types of food a woman would need to eat to meet her daily iron needs. Okay? So spinach is a good source of iron, right? Right. Now, sir and ma'am, do you eat a lot of spinach? Because you ate a lot of seafood, not the spinach. Okay, anybody eat a lot of spinach? A lot? How much?
But it's only like 2 cups.
Look, this is saying that to meet your iron needs, you need to eat 5 pounds. Can you eat 5 pounds of spinach?
No.
I think we need to have a spinach eating competition. So this is saying that, okay, even she's saying you can't even afford it. It's too expensive. But this is saying you only need a little bit of meat or liver to meet those iron needs. But for the spinach, and that's again back to this bioavailability, how much is absorbed. So it's not so much how much is in the food, it's how much is released and absorbed. That's very important. Thank you. Next one, please. We'll skip this one. So with maternal health, animal source foods help with fetal brain and organ development. They reduce the risk of low birth weight, improve the quality of breast milk, prevents maternal low blood iron and so on. 10 minutes, okay. Let's. This graph here just shows what happens when a woman who is pregnant doesn't consume a diet that contains sufficient vitamin B12. Only one lacking micronutrient, B12. As I said, you cannot get that from animal foods. It's saying there's strong evidence that the green is strong evidence, low birth weight, neural tube defects for that child, risk of gestational diabetes, higher intrauterine growth retardation, low offspring vitamin B12 status, poor cognitive development, higher adiposity, just because one micronutrient, which you cannot get from the plant foods, is lacking in the diet. Okay? Next one, please. We'll skip this. This one and the previous one are data showing associations between consumption of animal source foods and cognition in adults. Let's skip this. Let's keep going. This one I'll talk about for a second. This was in children, a study with almost 40,000 participants, looking at several different studies, aggregating data, and what it showed is that the bone health, bone mineral density was poorer in vegans and vegetarians than in those who consume meat. So the risk of fracture was greater, okay? And again, that doesn't mean if you're a vegetarian or vegan, it just means you have to be very careful about making sure that your diet is properly supplemented. You can't take things as easy as those who eat meat. Next one, please. This is with the elderly. Again, the proteins in the animal source foods help with muscle mass accretion. And so when it's lacking in the diet, what happens is sarcopenia, which means that the strength, the form, and the muscle integrity is much poorer. And so this is showing that those who have more of those animal source foods in their diet, there was less of the sarcopenia. Both when a Western diet was looked at and when a Mediterranean diet was looked at. Now, nobody is saying that you should go on 100% steak diet. I know some of the young men who are going out saying, no. We're saying you have a moderate amount of animal source foods as part of your overall diet. That's what's important. Next one, please. I want to talk a little bit about milk and alternatives. And so, when I look at the Oxford Dictionary for milk, the definition, it says it's a white fluid, and it says it's secreted by a female mammal to nourish their young. And the FDA also says it's a secretion from a gland. But on the market, we have many things that are called this milk and that milk and the other milk. And again, I have no issue with you buying. It's entirely your prerogative to buy what you want. But I think it's important that you're informed. Many times, next one please, what is often done is that the protein concentration and some important vitamins and minerals will be added to the plant milk, plant alternatives, to equal what you have in the true milk. But I'm showing this graph, I'm not going to go into the details of this, just to show that there are several other things that are not being added and that are very important. And I'm going to go through, my time is almost up, very quickly. Next one, please. So they are what we call bioactive components. And these are not being added. There is a milk fat global membrane that's important for brain and gut development. There are oligosaccharides that help with the gut microbiome, the bacteria that are in there to help support proper digestion. And then there are immunoglobulins and hormones that are important for brain development. So these are important things, but that's not all. Next one, there's even a book on bioactive compounds in milk to show how complex and extensive the subject is. There's an increasing body of literature showing that dental caries, which is cavities, one of the biggest issues that we face in medicine, is also less. The incidence, the prevalence is less when kids consume animal source foods in their diets. Okay? Next one, let's skip the next one, please. This is new research showing that these types of miRNAs have a very unique role in regulating cognition, reproduction, muscle development, and this is showing that the emerging science of these miRNAs suggests that foods don't only nourish, but they talk to cells. So if you are getting a plant alternative that lacks those miRNAs, your cells may not be getting the full story. All the gist, all the important tidbits, and so on and so forth that you might get from milk. So, next one, please. Even the matrix, even the physical structure is important of the components of the milk. So let's skip all this. Let's skip this. Let's talk about this for a second. There are many factors that limit consumption of animal sources. I'm a Christian. I fast. Okay? Ethiopia, I'm going there next week. The Christians fast 240 days a year. How many of you match that? 240 days, okay? Fasting is avoiding animal source foods. You go to an Ethiopian restaurant, you have fasting option, you have no fasting. Okay? I read an article about India. You know how beef is venerated, the cows? This poor woman had a child who was sick, and she brought him to the city, to Delhi, and wanted to get a glass of milk for this child because she couldn't see a physician. The vendor who was sending the milk got so angry with her and said, "How dare you ask me to sell you milk when you are a Dalit? You are the lowest of the low castes. And so if I sell you milk, I will be contaminating my cow back home." So we have all kinds of taboos. We have ours here. We have meatless Mondays. You know, it's a different time. So many things limit the consumption of these animal source foods across the world. Let's skip on. They are very expensive. That last graph is showing the expense. So the darker areas show where those foods are very expensive. So it's Africa and Asia mostly. We're very fortunate here. You can get a 6 ounce, and you know, many of those places, that would be something shared with the whole family, and they might eat that over 2 meals. You know, some of the places where we work, you ask them, when was the last time you had meat? Oh, that was something we had at Christmas. Okay. Next one, please. We had a project that worked in many, many countries, focused on improving livestock production in order to increase consumption of these animal source foods. I don't have time to tell you a lot I want to tell you about one study. So please go, skip, forget that. Yes, that one, yes, this one. This is a neat study. My colleague Sarah McCune in PHHP, she led this study for us. What she was working on was among the Mossi tribe in Burkina Faso. They believe that if a child is given eggs, if that child eats eggs, that child will grow to become a
chicken?
No. A strong child? No. Anybody else? Anybody? Quick. Huh? I didn't get it. Eggy. No. Vegetarian. No. I'm not sure I know what that is. Oh, okay. Vegetarian. they believe that child will grow up to become a thief.
Wow.
Literally. This is the prevalent belief. So what Sarah was doing was going to try and break this belief. And what she did is she got influencers from social media. No, I kid you, no. It wasn't from social media. She got the village elders, okay? And she got them on her side to understand the importance of eggs in the diet, asked them to help her identify families that she would give 3 hens to. They had to buy 1 more hen, so they have skin in the game. And then with those 4 hens, they have to commit that every day they will give an egg to a child. Okay? Then she had another medium partial intervention that was just training them about the importance of eggs in the diet. And what she did for this full intervention group, she had women, they got into a little group, they would have a jingle, sing songs, and so on. What happened after 10 months? The women whose kids were in the full intervention, their kids started eating 6 eggs a week. 6. Those who are trained alone, they were eating 2 a week. Those who got no intervention, they continued at 0 a week. This made the national news in Burkina Faso. Okay? One of the interesting things, these are male-dominated societies where women are seen and not heard. When the men, midway through the study, said, let's sell the eggs, the women said, no. They said, you can see how our son or how our daughter, you can see the vitality, you can see the energy, you can see that they're no longer getting sick. No, we're not selling the eggs. And so we measured a statistical improvement in women's empowerment. So this is the type of study that we've done, and we are continuing this in different places. I'm going to finish. Can you advance, please? So this is the group that I'm privileged to lead now, and I'm just going to finish maybe with 1 or 2 slides. One of the things that we've started is the Brain Food Initiative. So I'm going to ask you all, which of these 2 pictures is a good depiction of brain food? Okay, how many people think it's the one on top? Nobody. So you've all been listening. Somebody was putting their hand up, then I said, you've all been listening, then she's... What about this one below? How many people think this is a good one? Okay, you all failed. Okay? So I said brain food, not head food. Okay, so that's what's wrong with that one. Next one, please. Yeah, so you see, this is a lady in a store in Ethiopia. The store is called Fresh Market. It's owned by my friend Tess. And what he does is he sells what we call brain foods. And it's not just the animal source foods which you see on the left side of the picture there. You see the meat, you see the dairy, and so on. But it's also fruits, vegetables, nuts, legumes. So this is what we're calling brain food. And we just got a new grant to look at better establish the link between cognition and these brain foods. Next one, please. Skip that. Skip that. This is another nice thing that we're doing. I just want to mention briefly. We're working with our Neurology Institute on this plant. It's called velvet beans or mucuna. We used to grow it a lot in Florida until, because it's great for improving soil health. But when we started getting cheap fertilizers in the 70s, we abandoned mucuna. But mucuna produces dopamine. And dopamine is a better cure for Parkinson's than synthetic drugs. So we're now working on looking at different mucuna assessments from all over the world to see which ones produce the most dopamine and have less toxic components, and so on and so forth. So because of time, so I don't get kicked out, oh, there it is. I think I'm going to stop here, and if you all have questions, oh, there's Carla. Carla is the reason why I'm dressed like, I don't know, Santa in the middle of the summer. So, anyway, thank you all. Thank you for listening.
Questions?
Yes.
Could this be used as a cover crop in between seasons?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It grows very well. It's also drought tolerant, so it's climate smart. It's very productive. It has a high protein concentration, so it's a great animal feed, human feed. And in Nigeria, we eat the beans. But you have to be careful. When I was growing up as a kid, my dad was a professor in Nigeria, and we had a house pretty much like many of the houses here. But just beyond our fence, we had this growing wild, and the local name in Nigeria is Werebe. Is anybody Nigerian Yoruba here? Anybody? No? Okay. Werebe means it will make you itch till you go crazy. So the bean that's so helpful is in a pod, and that pod has hairs. And God helps you if that hair touches your skin. You will literally scratch it raw. So there are some varieties that don't have that. So we're trying to look at the variations that exist across the world in this crop. And our goal is to develop a crop that we can use here and can be used in Africa, in Latin America, in Asia, to cure Parkinson's without going to the physician. Yes?
Just real quick, when you were talking about Africa and the consumption of animal sources, even though Africa has a lower consumption, did you find any countries that were outliers? Like I'm thinking about Mauritania or things like that. In terms of that,
Yeah, so if you're correct. If you look at the graph, we don't have time to go back to it, you see that sub-Saharan Africa. So Mauritania is in the north, it's not in the sub-Saharan area. It's sub-Saharan Africa. So Morocco, Algeria, and so on, they will have better nutrition than sub-Saharan Africa. The exception would be the tribes, the pastoralist tribes. So like the Maasai. I wish I could show. Do I have time to show one slide?
Come on, Bobby. One slide. And then
No, you went to the beginning. Oh, quick. Keep going. It's worth it, I promise. It's one of our faculty and the work he's doing with the Maasai. Yeah. This, no, yes. No. Yes. This is Jose Dubois. He's a professor in agronomy, and he started working in Kenya, in very arid areas, the Masai Mara, where you have a lot of the animals, because the Maasai, people like Jane here, they have livestock, and of course we know they drink the blood, so their nourishment is better in some ways. But Jane had a different problem. Jose got involved first of all to teach them to use cactus as a livestock feed, okay, and was very successful in using that to improve the productivity and well-being of their animals. But Jose noticed that if Jane goes outside the stick fence, which you can just about see in the background there, behind those people standing, Jane, if she goes there to gather firewood, Jane is at the mercy of what? What? Huh?
animals.
What animals? Lions. Elephants. This is the Masai Mara. Okay? This is the real deal. So she steps out like this, guess what? They're there.
Wow.
And so what Jose did, he got funding from a foundation to build a biodigester, which is that thing you see there. Okay? And with that, they started feeding the biodigester with cactus and with manure from the animals. She has camels, she has sheep, she has goats, she has cows. And then the biodigester converts those into methane. And the methane is piped through into her kitchen.
Wow.
And now Jane can cook in safety. And while I was there, they were doing that with 10 families. Last week, Jose told me they got funding to do that with 25 more families.
Wow.
So just neat work. The other thing is that professor on the right there is Jose's collaborator. He's Kenyan. He told me that when they got to Kenya, he's at JQuat. He told me that when they got to, when the Europeans, when the British came to Kenya, somehow they got the Kenyans to think that the British vegetables were superior to the African vegetables. And so people abandoned their traditional vegetables, which he tells me are more nutritious. And they started eating kale and cabbage and lettuce and so on. His life's work is convincing Kenyans that they need to go back to eat those traditional vegetables. And so what they're doing now is the effluent, the liquid that is released from this biodigester, Jane can use it to grow more nutritious vegetables, which you see in the corner. Okay? I told you it was a good one.
Wow.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes.
The plant for Parkinson's, has anyone looked at that since it's dealing with dopamine for addiction?
Yeah, so that's a good question. Has anyone looked at the moment, it's very difficult to be addicted to the plant because the dopamine it contains doesn't cross into the blood-brain barrier easily.
No, I mean for curing addiction, because Parkinson's, I may get this wrong, but addiction often is not enough dopamine receptors, and Parkinson's is too many dopamine receptors, or vice versa, I don't remember. But if it's helping with Parkinson's, it could also potentially, I think, be helpful in addiction.
Oh, I see what you mean. I think it's only been used for Parkinson's. I don't know if it's been used beyond that. Of course, the guru here is Michael Okun, who is distinguished professor and director of the Neurology Institute. He would be able to answer that better than I can. But it's a good point. I hadn't thought about using it for. He does say that often with Parkinson's you have comorbidities like Alzheimer's and dementia. And so he says the work that we're doing could also have spin-off benefits for those comorbidities. Yes?
I'm curious, I know this may only apply more in this country or in certain countries as opposed to others, but it didn't seem like you mentioned anything about organic versus non-organic or regenerative or sustainable, different types of farming practices or animal raising practices and what animals are eating. Still probably, I'm just curious how that factors in. Or
yeah, it's a very important point, and we're very high on climate smart and sustainable practices. In a lot of one of the things that a lot of our colleagues in IFAS work on is things like herbicides and pesticides and so on. And there's a lot of very stringent work that goes on to look at the residues and whether those are safe or not. So what I have seen and heard and learned is that, generally speaking, from a health standpoint, the benefits of organic versus non-organic don't often hold true. So this is what some of the professors would say. But of course, we're all entitled to our preferences and so on and so forth. But sustainable is extremely important. Climate smart. We have, we live in a time when we see the climate changing even before our very eyes. I mean, how many have lived in Florida? How many remember summers this hot?
No.
Okay, so it's not just me. Okay, I've been here 25 years and there's something about this summer. So there's something happening and we have to think about practices that are sustainable, that allow adaptation to the changing climate so that we have productive agricultural enterprises that can continue to give us safe and healthy food under those situations. Thank you. Yes?
Sorry, kind of in line, a little bit of random question. Since you look at feed, have you seen any studies or refreshment work with asparagus?
Yeah, I haven't. So that's a good one. So one of the big, I didn't put this in my presentation, but one of the big criticism of livestock is the environmental impact, greenhouse gas, sheep and goats. I will tell you that since I was knee-high to a grasshopper, okay, and you can imagine how long ago that was, people in my field have been working on strategies to reduce methane emissions by livestock. And so there are over 100 strategies that have been developed, and they have been adopted to varying extents. What we're now doing is trying to push the adoption. One idea that we came up with very recently is the idea of methane as an asset, okay? So methane, we think of it as a terrible thing for greenhouse gases and so on, and for climate change. But what if we could pair ag industries with industries that use methane for something productive? You know, like Jane there, methane is what she's using for her fire. There's a substance called graphene, the hardest and the thinnest substance known to man. It can be made with methane. So methane does not have to be completely negative. And there are other things that we could go into about methane. I'm glad you asked that, because Agaropsis is a type of seaweed that has been shown that when you feed it to livestock, you can reduce the methane emissions by 80%, by 100% in some studies. So we're trying to figure it out. Say again?
It's an average of like 26%.
26?
26% without affecting male yield or quality.
I think there are a number of studies, so maybe that was from one study.
So there's a question in the back that's going to cause confusion.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to let you go do that in private because I got to push us forward. Please put your hands together one more time for Dr. Walker. Ladies, you all ready?
You are.
Okay, pass the mic to you.
Well, hello everyone. Thank you very much for coming. I have the immense pleasure to introduce the chefs here that are going to feed you today. We'll have some sample of our dishes. So first, we'll go ahead and introduce ourselves and the dish that we made for you that is significantly and culturally significant for us and why we made it, and then some why we made that food and what kind of benefits it has. And then before you enjoy the food, what we will do, we'll do a quick activity, which is a recipe creation. So each of us we have some base, which is lettuce from a local farmer. And then each of us came with a significantly, and culturally significant, ingredient. And it will be up to you to create the recipe. So we'll just be there to guide you, but you will be the chefs. So we will do that first, and then we'll go ahead and serve you this food. So let's go ahead and do some quick introductions of ourselves and the dishes that we have made.
And who are you?
I'll
All right. Hey, my name is Amnai Avasthi. I'm otherwise a scientist. And you wonder what is the scientist doing in front of some wonderful chefs here. And I first of all thank all the chefs here to include me as part of the team. I've had some awesome interactions with them. And then thanks to the King Institute to gather us, all of us here. And I want to thank you all for tolerating me for 5 minutes. So, 5 minutes of it. So stop me anytime. Now, so what am I doing here? 6 years ago, I felt very sick. So I was on my job, and by the way, I've been here at UF. I was postdoc here several years ago. So they gave me an assistant professor title, courtesy assistant professor title, and then I moved on to it. Nevertheless, felt very sick, and I tried to go around and get diagnosed, and nothing was working out. And I was in so much pain now that I couldn't. In fact, my gums had become so loose, my teeth got twisted. I had to relearn speech. So what would a scientist do in those circumstances? I was read and read and read and read and then read some more. Figured out what was wrong. So it was, in some ways, nutrition, some ways it was malnutrition, and the biggest share of the gap was taken by bad food. Now, I can bet all of y'all here are high performance people. You don't have time to eat, right? And let go of the possibility that you have time to investigate how to make good food. I can bet you don't have time for that. All people who are high performance, they just don't have time. Nonetheless, long story short, I found out what was wrong. And that's why we found this company, Braised Young. Turns out, if you braise the food, especially the spices properly, if you learn what is in it, you'll get a lot of benefit. Now so pertaining to this event, food is medicine. If you could just close your eyes for 1 second and think about food, what comes first to your eyes? Tell me now. Say it again. Tacos. Anybody else?
Pound cake.
Hummus.
Ice cream.
Black eyed peas. I sing a lot. Anybody else? Yell loudly. What did
Black
you
eyed
think?
peas.
Black eyed beans.
Peas. Black
Black eyed
eyed peas.
peas. Now do this activity again and tell me what comes to your mind first when you think about the word medicine.
Drugs.
Ginger.
Okay, ginger.
Garlic. Spices.
What else?
Green tea.
Yes.
Old medicine. That's what I was getting to. How about Tylenol? So you said ginger, garlic, old medicines.
Bitter.
Now, with that confusion now, we read something. The oldest times from when the whole concept of food is medicine came. Gentlemen called Hippocrates, I can repeat. Our food should be our medicine, and our medicine should be our food. All right. That makes sense. What do you think is medicine? Something that cures a problem? Well, every medicine, if you look at the definition of medicine, it cures a disease, right? What's another aspect of medicine is that you can't overdo a medicine. Every medicine comes with side effects. Now bear with me, I'm taking you somewhere. Just hear me out. So I'm about braised foods. The foods that have to be slowly cooked with a particular protocol. There was a lady called Anne Whitmore she became pretty popular. She became popular doing exactly the opposite. She said you should not ever eat cooked food. You should always eat foods that are uncooked. So just raw eating all the way. And she actually became unpopular. But I like her because she said, your food can either be the safest and most powerful form of medicine, or the slowest form of poison. So food can be anything. Now, so food could be medicine, and food is medicine, but then food could be the other way too.
So what did you make?
So I made biryani. This food is 3,000 years old. Have you heard about biryani? Who has not heard about it? So biryani, 3,000 years ago, biryani was cooked for soldiers. And they did research on why a king's food, because it's very healthy and very delicious, why would kings share their food with the lowest segment of society? The soldiers, they were treated very badly actually. So this is a time where kings' food was shared with soldiers. And I tell you, there is no altruism there. The kings had a very nasty intention in mind. They wanted the soldiers to be healthy, that's why they were fed a very healthy meal. That's what they know today by doing all the research. So king's food was fed to the soldiers because that food is made properly, is medicine. And the byproduct is that it is delicious also. Now food could be medicine, food could be poison. Who makes the food medicine? And this is what I want to leave you all with. You know, it is your awareness that makes the food medicine. The more you are aware about the food, and that's what happened to me. And that's, I think, what happened to most of the folks here who enlightened themselves. Actually, the present talk was so enlightening. So the more you look into food, the medicinal aspects, if I tell you, hey, eat a ginger daily, don't take my word. Develop your curious understanding, develop your critical understanding pertaining to food. And the more you develop it, the more the food will come to become medicine for you. So at Braised Young, we prepare food for hardworking individuals like you who do not have time to make your food. We also explain the science behind the food as to why it works in positivity for you. So I'd be happy to share. Thank you very much.
All right, hi again, everyone. So my name is Aïssé Kane. I'm originally from Senegal, West Africa, the home of the original jollof rice. And I am a co-owner of Flavorful LLC with my sister here, partner in crime. We're not blood sisters, but we're sisters. I was born in Senegal, but I grew up in France. So I have already that mix, those cultural diversity there. And today, what I made is what we call ceebu ginaar, which is the Senegalese jollof rice with chicken, and it has its veggie sauce. So I made chep, of course, like jollof rice, because it does come from Senegal, from the Wolof people, historically. So we made it. But on a serious note, we make it, and that goes for any West African dishes that we make it the way our moms or grandmas are making it. Because unfortunately in Africa, right now, a lot of it has been, we're using more processed food. So instead of using the natural bouillons, the natural veggies that we have and taking time and simmering, most of the time we use what we call magi or some processed food, and that's not how we do our food. So hopefully you'll taste the difference, but that's why I choose that dish. And like I said, it comes with its veggie sauce. Usually it's a hit, so you let us know how it is. All right, I'll pass it on to Awa and then Chefin.
Hello everyone, I'm Awa. I'm from Ivory Coast and Guinea. I grew up in Ivory Coast, lived in Canada, then moved here with my husband. It's been like 10 years, or yes, more, 12 years now. So as she said, I'm her business partner and sister. And today I did what we call in Ivory Coast akbisi. It's a traditional food made with boiled plantain or yam, boiled, but today is only plantain. Sorry, I couldn't have yam. And the sauce or the paste comes with white eggplants, mixed with tomatoes, onion, and sesame, boiled and seasoned perfectly, and cooked with a little bit of oil. And we have also on the side some fried tilapia and some canny hot pepper made by Flavorful for everyone who loves spicy. Hope you guys will love it.
Well, I'm Dan from Daniel's Dining. I say Dan, but I am Daniel. Daniel's Dining. I'm here today. I did more of a Southern style dish today. That's kind of like my lane. I kind of like to stay pretty much in my lane, but I'll veer off. But I like to make sure that I don't get too far from what I do, because I want to make sure that when I give you a product that is something that is genuine. Today I made Southern style black eyed peas. Is an old traditional type of vegetable that a lot of the families back in the old days, they would like when they go to church, come home, sit down. They usually invite the pastors over to eat or whatever, and that's one of the dishes that they like to bring out. They usually bring it out and serve it right on the table in the pot. But anyway, today I made that. I made it with some smoked turkey today. Now normally it would be ham hocks. I just figured I would make it in a way to where everybody can enjoy it. But normally it would be mostly like ham hock or smoked, neck bones, stuff like that. So yes, but also made a herb roasted chicken. I did that also, and then I did a Southern style cornbread that I also made. Yeah, so that'll be. See, I'm not really the speaker. My wife, she's the
master. She's like the I say, like the one behind is come here.
But anyway.
Come say something.
She can give you guys a little come back.
So, okay. Sorry. So Daniel's Dining has been around for at least many years. We started serving our families, serving the church, serving the community. Daniel started cooking at a very young age. Probably, he said, because he liked to eat. So he stayed in the kitchen around his grandmother and his mother, and he developed a passion for cooking.
He is a very good cook. The food is always delicious, I must say. And so he worked in the corporate arena for about 40 years, and then he branched out, and here he is. So that's how Danny's Dining was originated.
Hi everybody, thank you for being here with us today. My name is Ivan, I'm from Puerto Rico.
Hey!
So I'm representing the Latin, Caribbean side of this. And today what I made is a very typical stew from Puerto Rico and also all the Caribbean, America, like Venezuela, Colombia, Ecuador, Panama, all around. So everybody got their own sancocho. It's called sancocho. And it's typically is with meat and a lot of roots and vegetables. Today I did a job with vegetables, so no meat. So in case everybody can try it. So the pretty much is the same but without meat. So pretty much it's originated in the Canary Islands. That's in the northwest part of Africa. And it was introduced to us by the Spanish when they came in the 15th century. And every country adapted their own recipes. So basically that, I want to talk also about a very typical herb that we use in the Caribbean and South America. And it's very, I call it the cousin of the cilantro. It's called culantro. And it's like this very big leaf. I'm going to pass it around so you can. It's like a little bit of stronger cilantro and like a citrusy aroma. You can pass it around so everybody can smell it. So it's very typical in most of our recipes. And we do a thing that's called sofrito, and we use as a base for our food. So that is called also recap. So I want to show you our own flavors of the Caribbean. So what I really know about Robert. Thank you so much.
Hi everyone, my name is Robert. I used to teach for UAD, the USAP Culinary Arts Program, and I was the chef instructor for that. Got canceled about a year ago, I think. It's out of date there. But one thing that all these entrepreneurs here have in common is that they all use the kitchen over at Working Food, which is a local nonprofit organization. I used to be the kitchen manager there, and with the exception of Daniel, I actually guided all of these entrepreneurs through the process of starting their business and getting their food license and stuff like that. It's very difficult to find affordable space here in Gainesville. Right now, the wait list, I think, is over 120 people. And a lot of those are people who want to share their culture and their food with our community. Chances are, if you have like a favorite food truck in town, they use Working Food's kitchen. So that's just something to look at. And the thing that I made for you guys today is dessert. We did a blackberry and fig cobbler. I'm also a registered dietitian at HCA Hospital. And the cobbler that we did is less sugar than normal and pretty healthy in terms of like having fiber and vitamin C and being able to have your choice. Not representing any culture in particular, but dessert, right?
Thank you so much, Robert, for the shout out to Working Food. Yeah, we're all here thanks to Working Food, whether we do it full-time or part-time. And Robert has played an amazing part into it. And up until now, that's why we like to work with him as well. Also want to shout out to our local farmers because some of those ingredients were sourced there. You know, our usuals are Nicoya Farm, Siembra, help me out. Where did you get the lettuce?
Alachua Greens. This guy does hydroponics. It's an automatic hydroponic plant. Amazing.
Wow. So also, I mean, we put an emphasis on that where we source our food, and of course, you know, it's seasonal, so sometimes we don't have everything we need, so we have to go to the store, so we have to use gourds and stores like that. So with that being said, we're going to start the recipe creation. So,
What about the sorrel? Who made the sorrel?
the what?
The sorrel, that was all.
Oh, the sorrel, you forgot about the sorrel, Robert.
Outside in the entryway, there's a tea. It's got a lot of different names, but it's a hibiscus flower. You might know it as hibiscus, sorrel, jicama, mica, roselle. There's so many different names for it, but it tastes kind of like I would say like a cranberry almost, in a way. And it has spices and herbs. All the spices that are in it are actually sitting out on the table. We're gonna go smell them, and then see if you can like taste them in the tea. So.
Thank you. All right, so we'll go ahead and do the recipe. Like we said, you are the chefs now. So what we have, you want to put it in the video? So some of us are very competitive, so I'm gonna say something. We've done this activity before for some other events and some other organization, and then we took a picture and it turned out amazing. So let's see what you can come up with, and let's see how it tastes, okay? So keep that in mind as you create the recipe. So we have the lettuce that Amnai was talking about, and then we have some green bell peppers, tomatoes, boiled plantains, figs, plantain strips, onions, minced garlic, seasoned cashews, and then olive oil, some base. This is like a vinaigrette base, and it's full of veggies like bell peppers and onions and garlics already, so it's like more veggies on your salad. So we'll see who can come up with the good dressing. We also have some mustard. We usually use the French mustard, flavorful, so that's what we brought. So how we were gonna do this is we're gonna do, because of the number of tables that we have, if we could have maybe one volunteer from each table, and then we'll do 2 by 2. So like 2 people will come here and then choose what they want to add to the recipe base, and then go table by table. Okay? And as we create the recipe, we'll let the people talk and share why they chose that ingredient and how they're doing it. So again, you guys are the chefs.
If they handed me the microphone, I would talk. But here, I'm going to let everybody. So the folks who are talking here, let's get that sink in. So every table is going to send a representative, and
It's gonna be the break one.
let's start from table number 1. Anybody?
Right here.
We are a health justice organization. We've been around for 34 years here in Gainesville. We do different projects and different initiatives with our community. We generally have worked with Latino and Hispanic community members on different health topics, health education, working with community health workers. Another one of our initiatives, and it was mentioned here tonight, is the Gainesville Immigrant Neighbor Inclusion Initiative, or GINI. And that's where we do a lot of advocacy to make Gainesville a more inclusive environment. Next month, I can't believe it's already August, but next month is September. Next month is Welcoming Week, and we're going to have a bunch of community events, so please be sure to kind of check us out. We have an Instagram, it's called GINI Initiative, so you can look us up and see what events we have going on in the community. So I want to first start us off with a table activity. I'm going to be passing around some sticky notes and some pens. And what I would like you guys to do on the sticky note is write down your favorite food. And I think the correct answer is the food we're eating right now, right? So we're going to write down our favorite food. And I'd like you guys to share that with your peers and kind of just find out why. Why did they choose that food? And then we'll talk a little bit about it. So I'm going to pass those sticky notes out. Let's actually, I'm going to scrap that. Let's just talk about it. I had a different idea, but I think this will work better. So yeah, take a few minutes and talk about it, and I might ask some of you to tell the group and report back.
Morning, everyone. Good morning, good morning. My name is Oshibi Craig. I am so glad to be back here with everybody. By a quick show of hands, who was here last night? Okay. For those that were not here last night and are here back today, you're at the Food is Medicine event. Are you aware of that? Is everybody in the right place? Yes, okay, awesome. I'm the director here at the Center for Arts, Migration, and Entrepreneurship. We are really excited about this second day of programming. For those that were here yesterday, did you enjoy yourselves? Good. It was a great time, amazing food, amazing building of community. This event is one that has really come after about a year and a half of different conversations, and I'm going to give a specific shout out to my next speaker, which is Dr. Carla Shelnut, who is the Associate Dean of Engagement for the Institute of Food and Agricultural Sciences, often called IFAS, who's going to talk to you about food as medicine. But about 7 months ago, Carla sent the email to me saying, hey, we're going to have this Food as Medicine gathering. Love to have your team come out. And from that point until now, we've been thinking, how do we bring and cross the communities that CAME, the Center for Arts, Migration, and Entrepreneurship, engages with specifically around culture. And for us, we look at food and food culture as one of the important ingredients of our work. And so this program is in many ways a way for us to bring those communities, bring that work together in ways that are really important and impactful for us. So we're excited about what's going to be happening today and really glad everybody took a moment to get up and come and hang out. So my first thing, this is a morning thing, this is me years of coming in front of young people and bringing them together to share about music and culture is, everybody stand up for a second. Let's just, let's bring ourselves into the space. So just for a minute, as best you can, stretch as far as you can to the ceiling, just so that we can get that blood moving. It's Saturday, it's about to be lunchtime, but you know, the first thing we want to do is engage our bodies. And then take a moment and then let your neck relax and then roll down a little bit so that you can look at your feet as best you can. And get that neck open. And then roll it to the left a little bit. And then roll it back to the right. And then we're going to stretch one more time all the way up to the ceiling as far as we can reach, even almost up to your toes if you can. And then come on back down nice and easy. And then let that neck go one more time. We're going to roll back to the left a little bit. And if you can, roll all the way back, make a full circle. And come back to the front. Now we're going to shake it all out. As the kids do, just shake it out. Get that back moving. Yes. So how is everybody feeling now? Okay, we're awake, we're in the room, So, sit down as you will. I want to specifically give thanks to our specific sponsor, which is the Creative Bee program. Everybody on your table, you should have this little green postcard. If you've not heard about Creative Bee, it's one of the unfortunately best kept secrets that happens here at UF. It specifically brings arts and cultural programming to students as they arrive here at UF. The idea, now probably about 15 years old, was that students come here for Summer Bee. This is their first moment of being a college student, and they arrive in Gainesville and they say, there's nothing to do here. And that is such a misnomer, and so Creative Bee is all about introducing our students to culture, to art, to programming that's available to them in really targeted, powerful ways. We wrote to bring this specific event together. There's all the programming that's going to be happening over the next week. So scan that QR code and please tap into Creative B. And if you would, there's some places on their website as well to provide feedback. Tell them how much of a great time you had. That is always important. In addition to scanning QR codes, also on your table is this little card here. This is the Kane card. You can scan one of these and also check out information for us. And before you leave, please sign up for our newsletter if you have not done so. In addition to that, we partner specifically with the amazing community of Working Food. Some of the food that you're going to eat now is provided by chefs that come out of the Working Food Program, which is a nonprofit that supports local food systems and entrepreneurs. Got to give a big shout out to our sister center, the Center for Arts and Medicine, for their support and partnership in this project. And with that, I'm going to stop talking and pass it to the expert, Dr. Carla Shelton. Please come on up.
Good morning. It's so good to be here and see your faces. My name is Carla Shella. I'm a professor in the Department of Family, Youth, and Community Sciences and Associate Dean for Extension Engagement in the UFI Extension. I am a double gator, so I have my undergrad from here and my PhD from University of Florida Food Sciences and Nutrition. Now, when I graduated, I had never heard of a land-grant university or extension. How many of you have heard of a land-grant university before? Okay, a couple of you. How many have you heard of a land-grant? Have you heard of extension? Okay. So now, since I didn't know, I think Oshri knows now because I'm pounding into its head. So it's become my mission that every student, faculty, staff member that I interact with know that they're at a land-grant and what we do in extension. So the University of Florida is a land-grant university. And what that means is, back in 1862, I'm going to get nerdy with you, Abraham Lincoln signed the Morrill Act into law. And what this did is it gave land to the states in the Union to sell, have an endowment to build a university for the people. Because back then, education was not available to everyone, especially ag education. Like, that wasn't even a thing. But people understood that in order for America to succeed, we really needed to teach everyone how to grow food and grow it well, right? So what this did, it allowed us to build these universities, these land-grant universities, for the people, to give people access to education, specifically around agriculture, engineering, right? Military arts, but I won't get into details. As a land-grant university, so every state has at least one, okay? Several have two, and many have more than two. In Florida, we have two land-grant universities. So the University of Florida is one. Laura's not allowed to answer this. What's the second land grant in the state of Florida?
The Florida A&M.
Of course. Oshri is a product of the Rattlers. So FAMU in Tallahassee is the second land grant. And the reason I say second is because they had to pass a second Morrill Act of 1890 because 1862, the Civil War was happening, right? So they passed 1890 Morrill Act to make sure that race was not a factor in admission. They were targeting those southern states. So our historically black colleges and universities are land-grant universities. So FAMU and University of Florida, land grants. Now, land-grant universities are different from other public universities, dare I say better, in that we have a threefold mission of teaching, research, and extension. You all know teaching because you're taking classes, right? You all know research. University of Florida is a tier one, what did we bring in, like $1.25 billion in research funding last year, right? We're required to do research and we love it. That third mission area of extension, I didn't know what it was, and I had 2 degrees from UF, right? Many of you have never heard of extension. Well, we do extension. And what extension is, it's really the outreach arm of the university. We take the science and the research that happens by faculty at the universities, translate it into educational programs that are then delivered in communities. So, how many counties does the state of Florida have? Laura's answer.
67.
67 counties in the state of Florida. Every county has a UF-IFAS extension office. Laura Valencia is actually a county extension director in Flagler County. Within each extension office, we have University of Florida faculty. They're called extension agents. They're the boots on the ground. That's where the magic happens. They're the faculty that go out and teach these classes to the community. We're very much a grassroots organization in that our programming is a result of local need, right? Our faculty live in these communities. The communities tell our faculty what their needs are, and then our faculty work with specialists on campus, as well as they're amazing as well, to find solutions for those problems, okay? So as a land-grant university, we are leaders in this food as medicine space. And I say we're leaders because we have everything from hort sciences, right? You have public universities who do food as medicine, like your Harvards and Johns Hopkins, and they do amazing jobs, but they focus on clinical trials, right? They don't have the horticulture like we do, right, Gina? So we have hort sciences where we have these amazing faculty who are breeding plants to have more nutrition, right? So when I think of food as medicine at a land grant, it's literally farm to table to me, right? We're breeding healthier plants. And then all the way on this side, land grants also have extension. So we're teaching families how to prepare those foods, right? How to grow foods themselves, how to cook, basic skills, and everything in between. So when we started talking more and more about food as medicine on campus, that's when we decided to have this gathering in December and bring, believe it or not, we can be pretty siloed at the University of Florida because we're so big, right? But we were able to bring 36 faculty from 4 different colleges: College of Medicine, Arts, IFAS, PHHP, and now we're having pharmacy and a whole bunch of other colleges interested in bringing people together. So that was really exciting. It's been so fun to work with the College of the Arts because they think so differently than we do, right? At least in my space, but we can work together to really implement some innovative and creative programming to bring food as medicine programming across the state. So anyways, that's where we started brainstorming for this event, and we're super excited to have you here and hope that you enjoy the rest of the day.
So, it's going to be a great day. I'm excited. I'm going to pass to our other big brain that's been a part of this conversation, one of our CAME affiliate faculty members. For those that are not familiar with our center, we have affiliate faculty members that are all over campus. We have representatives in the College of Engineering, College of Business, College of Law, university libraries, all over liberal arts and sciences, obviously the College of the Arts, but we also have affiliate faculty members around the country and even around the world. And next I'm going to bring you Dr. Ariel D. Smith, who is a CAME affiliate faculty member and also an expert in food entrepreneurship. She's also an assistant professor at the Wake Forest University in their Center for Entrepreneurship. Please welcome Dr. Ariel D. Smith.
First of all, I want to say thank you, Oshabi, and to Kane for bringing me here. I've been fortunate to be affiliate faculty since October 2023, and this is a great opportunity for me to be here in Gainesville for the first time. So thank you to everyone who has made me feel welcome. It has been a wonderful time here. Now, I see this at Kitchen Table Pedagogy, and you're like, what is that? That is a bougie academic way. A bougie academic way of saying, I like to teach from the standpoint of the kitchen table, okay? Now, I'm about to date myself because I'm a millennial. I'm about to find out what's in the room. How many of you grew up eating at the kitchen table? Okay, so some people did, some people didn't. You see, my hand was not raised. So we had a dining room table that we never used. And so food became very important for me. It was something that we did. We cooked. Yes, my great-grandmother cooked for me. She's actually still living. I talk to her every morning. She's 100 years young. And so what we're about to do today, when I'm talking about how I teach and how I bring the kitchen table and how I bring food into different spaces, whether I have food or not, you're going to experience today. So I heard Carla talk about, going from farm to table. So very much being mindful of the food that we consume and how it impacts your body, right? So that's what we had a lot of great, rich conversation and discussion about on yesterday. Today, for this part of food as medicine, we're going to transition not so much from body, but to mind, heart, and soul. Those are kind of the works I like to do. So how did Kitchen Table come about? So I was a master's degree student at Vanderbilt University, and one of my professors, Dr. Ebony McGee, she taught a course around critical race theory in education in 2016. What a time. Do with that information what you will. But because it was a class that was on Thursdays from 4:30 to 7, and all my graduate students, you feel me how that time works. That was dinner time. We were hungry. You know, I'm trying to read, I'm trying to focus on these theoretical frameworks, but my stomach is talking back before I can. And so what she decided to do is that she applied for a small grant, and that small grant allowed her to actually bring meals into the classroom for us, and she made sure that every meal was done by a woman entrepreneur, a woman caterer. So when I came to Wake Forest, one of the things I wanted to do was, one, bring a Black entrepreneurship class to the university. They never had that before. And my background, my dissertation was on food trucks. So yes, I ate my way to my PhD. I'm ashamed to say, tell you all the time, I brag about it. But I wanted to make sure that I bridged the gap between campus and community. And so I spend the whole class reframing United States history from the lens of the Black entrepreneur from colonial America to present day. And at what point do we see Black entrepreneurs in Winston-Salem, where Wake Forest University sits? So I said, here's how we can do that. Because we can build relationships. That was very important for me, because entrepreneurship is a very much relational industry. If we're not careful, it will be transactional, but it's important that it's relational. So what I did was I invited Black entrepreneurs that I got the chance to meet, because I had just moved there in 2023. So I was learning the community just as many of my students were. So people I met, the person that does my hair, my real estate agent, different places I go for food, photographers, videographers, everyone that had become a part of my community, I reached out and I said, hey, would you mind coming to my class to speak? You don't have to teach. You're not standing up to lecture. Instead, you're going to sit down with my students. We're going to have a meal together. And I'm just going to ask some questions about who you are, what's your journey. I'm going to ask some of that from my students as well. And together, we're going to have a kitchen table experience. And I've been doing it now for 2 years. I started with 8 students my very first semester. I tripled enrollment the very next semester, and it has stayed the same ever since. It is the #1 thing that my students look forward to. Yeah, they're here for the food. It's amazing. I'm not gonna hold you. But what they learned is that they ended up getting mentors. They ended up having friends. They ended up having resources and support that lasted beyond the university into the community. They also brought the entrepreneurs back to campus for different events. They had different organizations, they had different student orgs they were a part of. They was able to patronize and be customers to those businesses. Now how cool is that, right? So that is the context of where kitchen table pedagogy comes from. And so when Oshabi and Jeremy reached out to me, they said, hey, we got this idea about food as medicine. We know that you do kitchen table pedagogy at Wake Forest. Would you be interested in bringing it here to the University of Florida? I said, absolutely. So that's what you're going to be experiencing a little bit of today. So just to give you that context, how are we going to do it today? A couple of things. If you look on your table, you're going to notice that instead of nice tablecloth like fabric, we got butcher paper here. That is intentional, right? So remember yesterday when I said, hey, I need y'all to come talking, and you said we will? You remember that commitment? Yeah, time to call that out right now. So throughout the day, not just during my segment, throughout the day, there may be moments where someone says something, you hear something, you feel something, you think something, and you're like, oh, I need to write that down. Write it down. So I need you to pull out these markers, these pens, write down where some of your thoughts are. Number one, that helps you process what you're taking away, because some of the most powerful ways to learn is by putting pen to paper. But also, it allows us to get an idea of what were some of the things that you took away from this experience. Sound good? Can you do that for me? I need to hear a yes. I need to feel secure. Yeah. All right. I was a little nervous. Okay. Awesome. So, during lunch, because I'm the person that dismisses you from lunch. During lunch, you gotta make me 3 promises. On your table, you should see 3 little note cards. There should be 3 for each person. If you do not have something, please raise your hand. We'll make sure that it comes to you. But I want you to be thinking about how food connects to you, mind, body, soul. So there's one question, is what food reminds you of home? Right? How many of you have ever been homesick before? I have. Yeah. So what do you do when you're homesick? Because whatever you do when you're homesick, that's medicine, whether you believe it or not. Emotionally, your heart is hurting for a place, for a space, for a moment in time, and there's something that you do, there's something that you turn to help soothe that ache. I want you to think about that. The reason why I want you to think about that is because food is more than what we eat. Food is also memory. For me, when I'm homesick and I don't have all the pound cakes in North Carolina that I would love to have, I think about my great-grandmother, and I think about how ever since I was at least 4 or 5 years old, she would be in the kitchen and she would be making a cake every week. And she would do it right before The Price is Right came on. And I got a chance to help her. So when I'm homesick, I either bake a pound cake or I go buy someone a pound cake from a place I trust because it reminds me of my great-grandmother. I think of Madill. So I want you to think about, what is something that takes you back to childhood? Does it take you back to a particular moment? Does it take you back to high school? For those of you who are in grad school or full-blown adults, does it take you back to a moment in college? Was there a restaurant that you went to late at night? I'm not going to judge you. But was there a place that you went to that brings back fond memories? What's that? Was it a dish that someone made for you? Maybe it was a grandmother, an uncle, a father, a best friend even, right? So I want you to think about that for your first question. For your second question, it asks you, who taught you how to cook or how to eat with care? Okay? So why does this matter? When I'm saying who taught you how to cook or who taught you how to eat with care, it's about showing how care was shown to you. Whether it's through a plate, through a lesson, through tradition, or even silence. Some of you may say, well, no one taught me how to cook. I was a latchkey kid, my parents were at work, I just had to figure it out. But that taught you something. That taught you that you can do hard things. It taught you how to take something big or something that was kind of scary, like cooking for a 10-year-old, and you found something that allowed you to step into that space. It taught you something. Maybe it was the fact that for my great-grandmother, she taught me how to crack eggs, and I would be too hard, and I would spill the eggshells everywhere, and she said, take your time. And to this day, when I'm doing too much, I have to remember, Nadia said, take your time. Right? Okay? Your third question. This is, what is a recipe for belonging in your life? Now, I'm excited about what you come up with on this one. Because you can think of belonging like something you could cook up or something that makes you feel at home, something that makes you feel seen, something that makes you feel safe, right? What is something that you feel pride when you do it? Is it a national dish? Is it something that you was once ashamed of when you went to school as a little kid in your lunchbox, but now it means something much deeper to you? Or maybe it's not food at all. Maybe you say, you know what? It's about how I show up in spaces. So it's clear I'm a black woman, can't hide it. Hey, and I'm also Southern. I'm from Birmingham, Alabama. I got a Southern accent. I got long fingernails that I love to paint with different colors. And I show up with all of that in every space that I am in. So to get me is to get all of this. This is the recipe for what Dr. Smith is. What is the recipe for you? What's the recipe for Carla? What's the recipe for Alejandra? What's the recipe for Erica? For Eleanor, for Dina? What makes up you? Okay? Does everyone understand what these questions are? Yeah. So during lunch, this is what you gotta promise me, is that you got to be thinking about your answers to these. You can write them on the back of these. You can write them on the table. They need to be written somewhere. And here's the big part, you gotta share it with somebody, okay? So throughout when you have these good meals, you got a mouthful of whatever it is they're cooking up, at some point you're like, oh, this is good, and let me tell you about my recipe for belonging. To give you a little bit of something to work with, okay? We're gonna come back near the end, and I'm gonna ask a couple of brave souls to share. Does that sound fair? All right, with that, you are dismissed for lunch. Let's get started. Let's get started.
Today our lunch is catered by Braised Yum. They were one of the chefs from yesterday, if you were here. I believe they have some biryani and some lassi, I believe.
Yep.
And the lunch will be over in East Room over there.
Yes.
Yes.
So we'll have everybody start to make their way through, grab your food, and then come back to your seats. And then we're going to continue to move forward.
And you can go from that country or from this.
So the first question we thought about was, what food reminds you of home? And something that I should have said earlier is that home can be many things. Home can be a physical address. For me, it is 875 5th Place West in Birmingham. But home is also the first set of real friends I had in college. Right? So growing up as a child, I didn't have birthday parties. I was bullied a lot as a kid. So birthday parties wasn't a thing for me. So when my friends in college found out I had never had a birthday party with friends, they all got me away somewhere. And then I came into my friend's dorm and they had a birthday cake and they had cards and they had my very first birthday at 20 years old. That is a sense of home for me. So when I think of Rast Hall, even though I didn't live in Rast Hall at UAB, it is a place of home for me because my friends were there. Okay? So home isn't just one particular place. We get to make home. We are born in a biological family, but we also get to build families. We get to choose families, and we get to make home wherever we are. Okay? Does that help free some people up about how they want to think about this question? Okay? So I'm going to skip this question, give you some time to think about it. Let's go back to the second question. Is who taught you how to cook or how to eat with care? Does anyone have an answer or a thought they would like to share around it? Yes. We give you the microphone. We give you straight.
You want to get a second microphone now?
Oh, we got a second?
Yeah, use that one at all.
Hi everyone, I'm Carol. I'm from the Caribbean, and my grandmother was the one who taught me how to cook. I was the smallest of four from my mom, that's her daughter, but I was the one who is left at home when everybody else is at school. So I basically saw her do just about everything, and she's from Indian descent. So this forum speaks a lot to her roots, from, as you say, from garden to table, from, yeah, that sort of thing. So most of the time when she cooks, she will be picking plants from just on the ground. A lot of times I kind of pray, say a little prayer before, because I know those are just bushes, and I'm going to be eating bushes, I might die. So, but she cooks them. I'm still alive. I can remember a lot of fruit that I see used here now in the food that we're eating that she cooks, and I still, some of them especially, I can identify at least 3 or more ingredients from the smell, from the taste, and from seeing it, because I've seen it before. That was put in these dishes. So one of them I clearly identify is turmeric, which is a powerful ingredient as well. Cumin, I smell it, because that is in the curry. And curry is a strong spice that we use to cook. Our famous curry goat. Oh, I'm from Jamaica. So that taught me a lot. So a lot of dishes. I don't have a favorite dishes, but I have a favorite ingredient that is used in the food that she always prepares, and it's curry. So like curry goat, curry chicken, curry pumpkin, curry moringa plant, everything. Curry kalaloo, curry aki. I mean, you name it, we do it.
Kalaloo is one of my favorites.
Yeah, and it cleanses your bowel too and give you free movement. So, yeah.
Thank you so much, Carol. Is there anybody else who would like to share? Yes, come on over there. And I'll be back to you as well.
I was born and raised in a very exotic place called Detroit, Michigan. and my mother, who is not from New Orleans, was crazy about making jambalaya. So that's the one that takes me back. And she would let me pick. It had so many ingredients, but she would let me pick some stuff to put in it. I never got any instruction on cooking from anybody. I just tried stuff. But I loved jambalaya, and sadly, 50 years later, I still haven't built a vegan version of it.
So here's the thing. So shout out to the D. I got a lot of my friends from Detroit. And they go hard in the paint for Detroit. They don't play about it. I got family members that's also from Detroit. Is that even though no one taught you, what you learned in that, the medicine became, in my opinion, as I'm listening to you, intuition. Is knowing, how much seasoning should I put in here?
And I learned not to drink milk right after eating it.
You know? And now I've learned it, so thank you for that medicine. Won't do it. But it taught you to experiment. It taught you courage. It taught you to try new things. It taught you how to recover from ails. So like, I did milk and okra, I'll never do that again. You learned that. So it taught you how to cook with intuition. It taught you how to add seasoning until the ancestors tell you to stop. It taught you all of those different things. So I want to thank you so much for sharing. Is there anybody else that's ready?
I learned from a lot of the women in my life, mostly my mom, but also I went to boarding school for 2 years, and the girls from all over the world taught me how to cook with plantain from Nigeria and kimchi from Korea, fish sauce from Vietnam, a couple other things, and it was an amazing experience, and I bring that into my life now, and I try to expand food palettes and everybody that I meet and make friends with and come home, and especially with having food sensitivities, finding foods from other nationalities and cultures has been incredibly important, because so much American food is dairy and meat based. But I mean, plantain is amazing, especially like it's such a beautiful sweet and savory flavor with chicken and other meats, and I would not have found that without being introduced to plantain from girls from Nigeria, and I appreciate that every day.
As you was talking, I'm so glad that you said it. The medicine that I'm hearing from you is the expansion of your palate.
Oh, yeah.
And when you expand a person's palate, you expand their world.
Yes.
And in the United States, we have a very myopic view of what the world is. We think it's our way or no way. We're like, everybody needs to speak English. We think about just us. It's very us. But there's so much more to the world. There is a world. And by you doing that, it allows you to expand your flavor profile. You're like, oh wait, it's not just sweet and salty. There's all these other things in between, and we have other options to look for. And then you probably will never see a grocery store the same way.
No, it is sad even like trying to find the ingredients for these foods that I can eat and are good is more difficult, because you have to find these kind of niche little things. Like the Publix doesn't carry a lot of these things, and Walmart doesn't carry a lot of these things.
Ooh. Now this is rich, because one of the questions I asked about is, how do we have home? What does home mean? So if we have grocery stores here in the United States that does not have access to these foods, to these ingredients, that for others is home.
It is critical.
How do they make home in a space where the ingredients of home are not readily available, and it signals this is not important, this doesn't belong here. So it's thinking about how does food become belonging, and when people want to use food as medicine, but can't. That's a rich thing. Who else wanted to share on this question? Yep, thank you.
I remember growing up, my parents always had a garden, and I did not really participate in the garden except to eat from it. And I have memories. Different houses we lived in had different sizes, sometimes very small gardens, sometimes huge. And I remember the family dog at the end of corn season running around with the corn husks and the stalks in his mouth, and it was just really fun. And it would probably feel like I'm exaggerating if there wasn't photographic evidence, but my parents would grow tomatoes that were about 7 feet tall, and just very proud of all of that stuff. And I feel like at the time I didn't appreciate it as a kid, but it was there in my life, and now I'm in agriculture, and all I do is grow plants and save seeds and work with farmers and gardeners, so somehow that experience, even though I felt like I wasn't fully participating or appreciating the work that went into that, resonated somehow with their life.
You know, my family, I don't know if anybody else's family would say this, but my auntie would say two things. She was like, you may not understand it now. I may be dead and gone, but you're going to understand it later. Or she would say, you'll understand it in the by and by. So there's some medicine we get in the moment. Fast release, fast is all, right? But I think there's others that are slow release over time. And they bless us in the moment, they do. But then there's some things you only appreciate with time. And so now you can get the medicine of, oh, that's what my grandparents was teaching to me. Look at that seed. Like they was planting seeds physically, and they was planting seeds metaphorically in you that you now get to pass on to other people. So their medicine continues to multiply through you, because you get to sow seeds they'll never got to go. But it was just that one seed they need to plant was in you. And that is how their medicine through food now gets to other people. So thank you so much for sharing. I want to go back to the first question because I've given you some time to think now. First question. Let's go back to that first question. You got it, I can look at it real quick. It says,
it's up now.
Okay, perfect. What food reminds you of home? And you can get to define home however you choose. What food reminds you of home?
Sweet potato pie.
Sweet potato pie. Oh yeah.
Green mama beans.
Green mama beans. They gotta be green.
Biscuits. Simple hot
Fried some potatoes. And then you said,
Biscuits, but not just any old biscuit.
tell me about these biscuits.
They are the best biscuits in the entire world, and my mom would make them with self-rising flour, and then she'd mix oil and milk and put it in, so they were kind of flatter, they weren't fluffy. And she made them at every meal, and we'd have them leftovers. I'd take them with me everywhere. I always ate biscuits.
See now, I thought I wasn't a biscuit girl until I went to Nashville. And in Nashville, there was a place called Knockout Wings. And there would be people that would stand in line, not for the wings, but for the biscuit. And when the biscuit ran out, so did the people. So you can understand there is art in some of the most simple things you could ever imagine. The biscuits was one of them. What else? Yeah.
Fresh baked bread and apple pie.
Ooh,
The smell, whenever I smell it somewhere, it takes me home.
You know, it's something about an apple turnover for me that'll bless my spirit.
Little Caesar pizza.
Ooh, come on. Say it again with your chest.
So I'm from Colombia. I did my undergrad there, and there are only a couple of Little Caesars places in Colombia, and turns out that there was one really close to my university, and I think there wasn't any other pizza place around there. So whenever me and my friends wanted to celebrate something like a birthday or a thesis dissertation, we would go to this Little Caesars that was really close to college because they would give us a pizza quite quickly and it was tasty. So I have many pictures in that Little Caesars place where we celebrated all kinds of things. And when I got here to the States and I found a Little Caesars close to my home, first thing I had to do was send them a picture. Hey, when are you coming?
I love this. So here's the thing. I remember when Little Caesars first came to Birmingham and they had the commercials, and me and my little sister, y'all pray for us, we were a little crazy. But we remember the commercial when they said pizza. So, and it was like, it's gonna be $5, hot and ready, $5. It was not ready by this time, and pizza is free. So I was like a teenager, she was like a little kid. And so we got out and we just saying pizza, all into the store. So then we get in, we ask for our little $5 pizza, and we time it like, it has to be ready. It was not ready at the time they said it was ready. But for me, I love Pizza Hut. Because that was something that my parents, my family, my great-grandma, my great-aunt, my grandmother, my uncle, we would do Pizza Hut at least once a month on a Saturday. They would have to call the pizza in. I, being the person that don't have to share, I would get my little personal pan, Meat Lovers Pizza. And we had to call it in. I still know the number, even though I haven't ate Pizza Hut in a good minute because they have gone down. But the national number is 9788000. I know the number well. Thank you, Alejandro. Anybody else want to share? Yes, Lexi.
Mine is probably the least medicinal food on earth, but it's
a bologna sandwich on white bread. Wait a minute.
That's a good one.
Because I felt the spirit on that one. Now, the question is, do you cut it in the middle so it doesn't like balloon up, or do you like it?
So this is my dad's favorite food, and we had very healthy food growing up, and my dad refused to eat any of it because his comfort food was literally a bologna sandwich on the whitest white bread he could find. And I moved back home when I was like 22 or so, and I like tilled up the whole backyard. I had every color of tomato growing, like I had so much like organic, delicious, fresh food. And I would like make a salad, and he would leave to go to the store to get bologna and like the yellow mustard and like the most processed white bread he could possibly find. But with like a giant glass of whole milk. That was his jam. And I personally would hope to never eat a bologna sandwich ever in my life ever again, but every time I see that in the store, it reminds me of him. So.
My grandmother would do bologna with the mustard. I hated mustard. I hate mustard to this day because of it. Because she just, it went too far.
Yeah.
And at one point they came out with round bread, just to fit the bologna.
Oh wow, I didn't know about that.
I see you got I see. Yeah. No.
So I'm white, obviously, so we have a dessert salad called a salad because it's just a homunculation of a bunch of random sweet ingredients. So there's pineapple, there's those really sugary sweet coconut shavings. There's no mandarin oranges, but there's the maraschino cherries. So just sugary, syrupy. I don't know what you're talking about. And marshmallows, the ambrosia, and mix it all with a tub of Cool Whip. And that's a cherry party salad. I'm probably missing 2 or 3 ingredients, but it was the most delicious and most disgusting looking salad that we would have. Salad in, quotations as it has to be. And my brother was a really picky eater growing up. He wouldn't eat it. And so my mom said, close your eyes and open your mouth and I'll give you a tasty surprise. And she put a spoonful of cherry party salad in his mouth and he was like, wow, that's delicious. But if he saw it, he wouldn't want to eat it. So those ingredients and just, I've never seen anyone else make a cherry party salad, so I think it's from my family. You have it? Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Ambrosia.
Yeah, I got it way forward. So when you started like naming stuff, like I have seen this.
Yeah.
I haven't tried it because I'm like your brother. I'm a visual texture person, but when you describe it, I was like, I have seen this. Thanks very well. Thank you. All right, so we did prompt number 1. We did prompt number 2. Now let's go to prompt number 3. I'm so proud of y'all participated. Prompt number 3, this is one I'm really excited about. What is a recipe for belonging in your life? So if you had to think about the ingredients that make up you, food or not related to food, what would that be? I'm going to give you 2 minutes to make sure that you thought about it, because I feel like y'all was thinking about the first 2, but you forgot about this one. So I'm going to give you, see? Carol knows what I'm talking about. I'm going to give you about 2 minutes to reflect on this, jot down some ideas, and then we're going to come around and share them, all right? Sound good? Let's go.
My recipe is not nothing to do with food, but there's 4 ingredients. And the first one is faith. It's very important to me, and I feel like without God, I wouldn't be here, and He blessed us with this opportunity to live this life. So that's like the main ingredient. And then the next one is family. Like, there's support. My family has always been there for me. And coming to this country, like, to build this like new life, like, they've inspired me a lot to always pursue everything to the max and kind of give it your all. And then friends. Friends is basically a community within yourself. Like, it's an extra family. They've always been there, and just seeing how everyone, especially like friends my age, seeing how all my friends are also trying to pursue something in life big, and they always reach for their dreams always, and it's very inspiring that there's other people around you with the same passion as you. And then lastly, love. I think it's so important to show love to everyone, and just remind yourself, like, everyone's living life for the first time as well. And so just like having that love, you know, they're humans and they make mistakes. You make mistakes as well. And so yeah,
That is beautiful. That is beautiful. Thank you, Paloma. Who else would like to share their recipe? Who is it gonna be? That's the closest to singing you're gonna get from me. Yes. Was it your hand, Carol, or was it? Oh, no.
I can share.
You can. Okay.
Hi, Carol again. It's like similar to what Paloma just presented. As she was, saying it just come full circle with my thought. I didn't actually put it on paper yet, but she just pulled it out. But it's food, faith, family, and community, because I'm a Christian. I believe in God. And I love food. I prepare food, I cook food, I serve food, and it brings people together. And when I do food, I get a sense of completeness, especially when the compliment starts to flowing, and you see what it does when people started to tell you, oh, you're so good, or they're extending it to someone, you should try, she does so good, it's just a sense of that fulfillment. So, and healthy food as well. I'm pretty much, well, as I said before, grew up from the farm to the table, so healthy food, I know it does a whole lot to your body, and it prevents a lot of illnesses, and it makes you feel good, stay healthy for a long time, and cure a lot of diseases. So that's my recipe.
Thank you, Carol. Now, you may be wondering, what is Dr. Smith's recipe? So, mine looks a little bit like this. Yes, food is on there, but especially a potato. Because a potato hates to see me coming. I love French fries, I love baked potatoes, I love mashed potatoes, I love potato cakes. Potatoes hate to see me coming, but I love to see them. What's also a part of my recipe would be Whitney Houston and Shaka Khan, Doja Cat. Everything in between. You know, I'm all of that. So I'm the person that grew up, like I said, with my great-grandmother, my great-aunt, so I can listen to anything from the stylistics, don't nobody know about that, see, I found a tribe over there. I can go from stylistics to the OJs, to the Spinners, to Shaka Khan, to Whitney Houston, to Lil Wayne, to Yo Gotti, to Gucci Mane, shout out to Birmingham, to Doja Cat.
John Baptiste.
Yes, I can. Yes, I can. So all of that. Then throw in some Yolanda Adams, some Kirk Franklin, some Tasha Cobbs Leonard. I'm that. I'm pound cake, 7-Up pound cake, sour cream pound cake, sweet potato pound cake. I make all of those. I am a petty meme. I love to send petty memes to my friends. You are probably not my friend if you haven't opened up your Instagram and just got like a thread of things I said that you probably didn't respond to. That's okay, I'm still gonna send it to you. It's late night car rides talking to people. It's the color blue. If you've seen me both times, you have seen me in the color blue. It is prayer at 9 o'clock with my great-grandmother. I don't have a day in the past, I want to say 5 years now. We pray every day at 9 a.m. for 5 minutes. And growing up as a child, we knew the house had to be still at 8 o'clock Central Time because that's when the prayer came on the radio. And so to this, she's been doing that her whole life that I've known her. And then since I moved away, I hadn't done it. But then when COVID came and after my aunt passed, we got together and we pray on the phone every day. So even when I know I got to travel, I call her early or I call her late. But it's prayer with her. So those are some of the things that make me. It's going to a food truck. It's going to church. Because I am ordained, so that is another thing for me. So those are some of the pieces that make up who I am, right? It's long nails, acrylics. It's sneakers from Amazon, because I don't want to pay for a lot of money on sneakers. It's my Yorkie Poo Lexi, who's 1 year old, and I never thought I'd be a dog mom, but yet here I am. That's the recipe of me. It's when somebody says something about Birmingham, I instead of go west side, best side. That's me. That's me. It's also the ability that I'll say something that people think is real funny, but I say with the most straight face ever. When you think of me, and then you get to know me, and even in this moment that you probably got to know me, you can probably see or you probably experience some of those things. So when people experience you, what do they think about? What comes to mind? That's basically what I got you to do today, is we started with food as the basis, because that food is going to bring up different memories. Some memories are going to make you smile. Some memories may make you sad. Some memories might make you feel angry. Feel like you've been cheated out of something. Maybe you've missed something. Some memories may make you feel sad because, oh my goodness, that person isn't here anymore. Right? When I bake pound cakes, I bake, and one of the first songs, I can almost see what my playlist is going to be. At some point, I have to play Shaka Khan's Through the Fire. Because my auntie loved Shaka Khan. But at some point during that song, I'm probably gonna cry because I lost her in the first year of my PhD program to breast cancer. She died 6 days after my birthday. So I'm thinking about that song. I'm thinking about her. I'm thinking about my great-grandmother who taught me how to bake, but I'm also crying. But it's still a medicine because in that moment, I have invited them into that space with me. Into this moment, even though my great-grandmother is still here, but she's in a different state. So some of you probably have parents, grandparents, loved ones, grandchildren, children that may not be in the same space as you, but what are the things that you can do for just that moment? Y'all in the same space again. Right? Because that's medicine. That's healing. That takes you to a different place in time. That takes you to a moment where you're like, you know what? Man, despite what feels like what's crazy going on in this world right now, I have the ability to take myself back to a moment where I felt something different. And, because I want to make sure I'm doing due diligence, if you say, I don't have those memories to go back to, then here's the opportunity. Yeah, you may not have anything you want to go back to. What's something you want to go forward to? What type of medicine can you create right now? Maybe it's, FaceTiming with a grandson. And he said, look, Grandma, I made this recipe. And you're like, okay, we're gonna make it together. Or let me just watch you. Let me just see how you do it. And then ask him questions. Like, Chef, did you prepare this? It allows you to come into his world. And he gets to be in yours. Maybe it's sending a photo. I love going to the beach because my auntie would always talk about the beach. And I never got to see it as a kid. So one of the first things I did after she passed, I went to the beach she once lived at. And so one of the things I do as a child, I would buy seashells from Dollar Tree because we didn't have money to do vacation. So I was close to the beach, I was gonna get it. So, hello. So now when I get the chance to go to a beach, I don't care if it's the tiniest seashell, I pick it up and I say, hey Reese, I'm back at the beach. That's something I get to do, right? So my biggest hope throughout all of this is that you understand, yes, food is medicine with our bodies, but it's medicine for our souls, it's medicine for our minds, it's medicine for our hearts. And yes, there are moments where we can look back and think about the medicine that we got through friends, whether it's like being at a dorm and learning different dishes and learning about the power of plantain, or maybe it's about a meal that our mom made and then our little brother was like, this is nasty, actually this is really good. So yeah, we may have those memories, but we get to make memories. We get to make memories. And we are all a living recipe. All the things I asked you about, like the memories around food and home and belonging, those were all ingredients that make up you. So when I see you in this space, when you see me in this space, we are a sum total of the different ingredients, the different moments, the different people, the different lessons we have made along the way. And this is the cake, this is the biscuit, this is the salad, this is the callaloo, this is all of the things. We are that. Let's just make sure it's seasoned though. So that when people encounter us, we leave a good taste in their mouth. Sound good?
Yeah.
All right, so here's what we're gonna do. We got a little bit of time. Take a break if you need to settle down, you need to take a deep breath, you need to stretch, like how Ocean taught us, you need to get some water, go to the restroom, whatever you need to do, get some seconds or thirds, ain't no judgment. You need to get some of that. Take that time. We're gonna come back and we're gonna transition into our workshop activities. And let's see, I think I had the library card, and no, there was a little library card there. I think I had it.
Here at the University of Florida and the College of Agricultural and Life Sciences. And I have had a very circuitous route to get here. I've always been in love with sustainability, with the natural world, and with living things and biology. And so I've gotten to dabble in a lot of different pieces of that. And so I was working in conservation and natural systems for a while. My PhD was looking at algae blooms here in our Florida springs. So has anybody who here has been to a spring? Excellent, good showing. So I did my research looking at the springs and the role of the little snails in keeping springs healthy. And then did a postdoc out on the West Coast looking at the translation of science into policy and how we work with people to actually get knowledge into functional spaces, and then came back to UF and worked at the Field and Fork campus food program for a while, and now with plant science. And so I'm very passionate about experiential learning, hands-on learning, and connecting people to their food, to their community, and to all the ways that we connect with the world around us. Thank you.
Testing, there we go. I'm Melissa, and I love answering this question now after having been asked to think about ourselves as a recipe. You know, I feel like we often answer, at least at this age, like what you do as a career, but I will start with that, and then I'll maybe give my recipe. So I am a co-founder of a nonprofit in town called Working Food. So I've had the great fortune over the past 13 years of being able to see this little organization grow and see some of these amazing food entrepreneurs come into the community. I get to work with farmers and gardeners on a regular basis to help provide seeds that do well in our climate for growers, and helping our youth program team bring gardens and food to kids in this community. So it's a really amazing job. And outside of that job, I also just love to grow plants and tend to my own things at home. I am a dog mom. I am an artist. I'm an ecologist. I studied in Canada, where I'm from, but I'm also a dual citizen, although now I'm like, things are just big. I kept that passport. I forget where I was going with that. Anyways, yeah, so I get to do a lot of things, and it's really amazing to be able to tie in what I love, which is growing plants and getting to share that with people and making art and being someone in this community that gets to make it better in a little way.
Hi, how's everybody doing? First of all, I just wanted to thank the Center for Arts and Migration and Entrepreneurship for the invitation to share the collaborative project that I'm going to show today, Seed Cabinet. And I'm also super excited to be in conversation with Dina, whom I met when she was at Field and Fork, the campus garden where my students would do service learning in the garden, and Melissa, who's the seed director at Working Food, who's a key collaborator in Seed Cabinet. So I'm an interdisciplinary artist, which means I'm a maker whose artwork is informed by research in geography, environmental studies, forestry, ethnography, agriculture, community activism, and physical computing. My artwork takes the form of videos, installations, interactive sculpture objects, like what you're going to see in the other room, performances, writing, and pedagogical experiments, or some kind of combination of that. I like to collaborate with all kinds of people. And I guess part of my thing is that with my artwork and these collaborations is I want the audience to visualize, like hear, touch, smell, and even like taste data. And then when I'm not being an artist, I'm also, well, I guess I'm never not being an artist, but I'm also a professor of studio art here at UF who teaches in the art and technology concentration in the School of Art and Art History in the College of the Arts, one of the sponsors of this program. I teach courses such as video art, sensor-based electronic art, programming for artists, and interdisciplinary classes with titles like food art and technology, mapping in place, and the vegetable. And then outside of the art department, you might run into me teaching a Quest class if you're a freshman or a sophomore, human oil, plants and energy, or just plants and oil.
Wow, thank you. We have an amazing array of people. So yes, So you've already showed how food and culture has informed your work, whether it's with running nonprofits, to art, to teaching, and everything in between. I guess the question right now is thinking about what were some of the core experiences that inspired you in your past? I know you was going down the direction of the recipe. I guess this would be where we would think about the recipe, is like what kind of led y'all into this space? And Melissa, if you want to go first.
I remembered what I was going to say earlier, is that I started off as a young person just loving nature and ecology, and that's what I professionally studied for years and found my way to UF. So it's actually kind of unexpected that I ended up in agriculture and a nonprofit world where I deal a lot with people, because a lot of what I appreciated when I was younger was being in wild spaces away from people. And I just wanted to study animals and save the environment. And then probably in like 2010-ish, a friend of mine, Anna Perzia, who's now a county commissioner, she got me thinking more about food, which I had never thought about in a more serious way other than I have to eat it to survive. So she was making me think about where food came from and farming and gardeners and, you know, the exploitation of food and where it's coming from and the miles and all the things. And then it kind of clicked with me that the way that we grow food, the way that we support the people that grow the food has everything to do with those beautiful places that I love. So all the runoff that's going into our beautiful springs from farms and lawns is a big deal. The way we transport food and the way that we chemically fertilize it has a lot of impact on those wild creatures that I liked. And so I'm not quite sure how it all happened, but then I ended up starting a nonprofit with her. That's the good thing about being youthful and energetic and naive. Is you do these things when you have the energy for it. So we started a nonprofit and worked our butts off, and I just started learning a lot about local food. And it really just kind of all came together for me. And it's nice to have the ecology viewpoint to what I do because I can see how everything's all connected.
Now, I don't want to assume, but do you mind just breaking down what the word ecology means?
Ooh, tough one. Well, for me, it just means it's a web. It's the connections. So an ecosystem is not one thing. It's not just the forest. It's all the microorganisms that are in the soil and all the worms and then the birds that are eating those insects and tilling up the soil while they're down there with their little feet looking for bugs, and then the trees that are providing shade and giving oxygen, and the squirrels that are running up and down the trees and eating the nuts and spreading the seeds. So all the things that are connected. And there's also human ecosystems, which sometimes we think we're separate from the natural ecosystem, but of course we're not. We would all die if we didn't have natural ecosystems.
Thank you.
So sort of tag on that, you know, I was thinking about collaboration, and I think collaboration does like extend to the natural world. You know, you collaborate with animals, you collaborate with the soil, you collaborate with plants. I don't know, just made me think about that. I guess in terms of core experiences, I have a pretty childhood and history of being around plants, family gardens, you know, thinking about like, or knowing like, hey, there's a particular kind of cucumber that is grown to make pickles that maybe reflected my family's heritage. I think another experience is that of gleaning. And actually there's a pretty famous French film called The Gleaners by Agnes Varda, if you're interested. But like as a teenager, my mom, my sister, and the neighbors, like we'd go picking and orchards that were contracted by like Kroger, where the workers had gone through, harvested the apples, and were done with the orchard, but then we came in after and collected those apples. I'm also interested in technology and art, maybe thinking about old technologies, old in quotation marks, like hard catalogs that slow us down, and how to combine or create hybrids with current technologies like videos, microcontrollers, sensors, sort of in a way to get people to remember their experiences with seeds, food preparation, and gardening.
There was something that you said that in the beginning that was really powerful for me that I actually need to sit with, is when you said collaborating with nature and collaborating with the earth. And one of the things that I'm just now in my own personal journey with is getting into earthing and realizing how disconnected I have been to the earth and to land. And how do we think about land? When we're talking about collaboration, that is a partnership. That's working in tandem. That's seeing the other entity as on equal footing. And I feel as if a lot of times when we think of nature, if we think of it at all, if we're not careful, we'll think about how we can manipulate it, how we can dominate it, how we can control it, and not how we be in partnership with it and in collaboration with it. And I just think that was very beautiful how you said that. So thank you.
So,
Yeah, I mean, I think the collaboration also stuck with me, and the idea of taking inspiration from all the people around you, so that's a really big thing for me. I grew up, my father's an archaeologist, so I grew up as a child like hopping in and out of excavations and hauling a lot of dirt and thinking about how our prehistoric cultures impacted how we live today. And I loved it, but realized that my inspiration really came from the living things, not the material history of the past. And so I moved more into curiosity about living things and just become a biophiliac. Like I loved all living things and just fascinating to learn about it. But I think what got me into the food system world actually was hiking on the California coast and seeing a bunch of Brussels sprouts on the ground. So back to the gleaning idea, I saw this farm and it had been harvested, clearly, but there was so much food there. I'm like, oh my God, I could live off of this for like months. I could happily just eat all these Brussels sprouts. And then it got me thinking about, well, how does gleaning work? Why is there waste on farms? How can we contribute to changing that? And then there's all the other things about the impact of agriculture on the world, but also food waste. And so also the idea of gleaning was really curious to me, and that's part of what got me into this farm training program that I did that then kind of pivoted my career kind of midway through my professional career. And so the idea of how we can make farming more efficient, how we can make food systems more efficient, how we can feed more people, and especially those who don't have access to fresh food, and how we can use agriculture also to support our natural systems, and the idea of agroecology, and how we can use agricultural systems to weave in matrices of natural systems and create corridors of our native species. And so there's just so much richness in that, and part of my recipe for who I am, I think, is the curiosity aspect is an important dose for me. Put in a couple of extra helpings, and so yeah, I think just constantly staying curious and being inspired from these amazing people around you, and thinking about how we can make the world a little better with plants.
And so what I'm hearing from the three of you is something that I remember we talked about yesterday. So for those of you who were in the room yesterday, we talked about how one of the big hopes that we have of doing this program is that a spark of curiosity ignites in you. That you find something that you want to look up a little bit more. You reach out and you talk to somebody, you sign up for something, you register for an event, you take a class. You maybe look at a different major or minor, or just do some internal reflection. And what I'm hearing from all three of you is that you didn't let a moment pass you by. You were still enough to be like, what's going on with all these Brussels sprouts on the ground? Or going through the apple orchard and it's like, what's still here that we can use? Or how do we get active in the community? And how do we work with different farmers and chefs? And I think the beauty in that is sometimes you gotta be still enough to be open. Because sometimes we can be like closed off and I love it. You can be closed off and we can just be thinking about what's next on our agenda. And when we do that, we kind of close ourselves off to not just meaningful moments, but transformative moments that have really shaped who you are today. And with that in mind, it's the thing, so I gotta ask you, what does food is medicine mean to you? And anyone can answer that.
All right. So in the conversations that built into this program, it was amazing how, in my mind, it came out to three things. And one big one was community, and the idea of building community and your networks and your people and your family around food, but also natural communities and how the ecosystems and the natural communities feed the human communities, and hopefully vice versa, and take good care of the land. And so that's a big one for me. Another piece is the therapeutic part of both foods and growing plants. Like you have a whole certificate in horticultural therapy because there's so much just being around plants and the aromas and flavors and just growing things and nurturing things. Growing your own food is therapeutic in and of itself. And so there's the growing aspect, and then also there's the technical aspect that we heard about a little bit, the idea that so many of our actual medicines that heal diseases come from plants, and so thinking about ways for us to connect with that, with the turmeric, with the curcumin that comes from that, from all the different things in nasturtiums, all the limonene oils. There's a million medicinal compounds that come from some very common plants and some more exotic ones, and so thinking about the science behind that and how we grow and breed more nutritious vegetables, how we get it into the plates and minds of people. So I think both the kind of healing and connecting human community, thinking about actually healing the world through what we eat. If we eat more plant-forward meals, if we have more sustainable agriculture, we can, through our dietary choices, help bring medicine to the earth, but also developing more medicinal plants, growing a lot of medicinal plants, whether it's the broccoli that you eat or the turmeric or any other of thousands of varieties of plants that ethnobotanically people know around the world and through cultures have been medicinal over time, and so exploring that. So I'm going to give a little plug if anybody's interested. There is actually a medicinal plants course happening this fall, so that's out on the front table there, and it's a really amazing class with faculty who do some really cool research in that realm. So if you are interested in food as medicine, on the kind of ethnobotany, thinking about how global communities have thought about food throughout time, and then also how do you use modern techniques to extract and purify and use these medicines. It's all there. So I would recommend that.
Can non-students take this class?
I think we probably could make that happen. We could do a certificate section. Yes. If somebody, non-student, wants to take that class, let me know. I'm going to look into that. And if anybody wants to do that as a non-student, let me know, and I'll see if we can get a certificate section.
I'll answer that question with a personal story. So 13 years ago, I had a cancer experience, and it was very eye-opening and terrifying. And that is a time in my life when I realized for real how food is medicine or food is poison, and learned a lot about the things that we eat as individuals, as cultures, that are doing our bodies a lot of harm and leading to things like cancers and heart disease. And then also learned a lot about foods that are literally medicine, that have the compounds and the nutrition in it to heal your body from specific ailments or just to give you general health. And I went through all the things to get rid of my cancer. It's been 13 years now. And thank you. And a major one was food, eating the right foods, taking care of myself. Community was another huge one, not having people by your side to help catch you when you fall and bring you things and root for you was a huge factor in healing. So that was really an eye-opener for me about eating the right foods, not just during a time of crisis, but all the time, as much as you can in a busy life. And while I was going through treatment and I felt like total crap, what made me feel better, interestingly, was going out to the farm and sitting in the hot Florida sun and pulling weeds and harvesting flowers. It was like the medicine my soul needed to just sit there with all my shit and look at the bugs and look at the birds and be like, okay, I can do this. So for me, food as medicine is really, really personal.
So we got the questions in advance, which is good. So I think there's many ways to think about food as medicine. We've heard many of them right now. From Gina and Melissa. And when I first started to think about this question, I thought about that adage, you are what you eat, and thinking about, chronic health issues in this country and how they're connected to what we consume. I thought about the seed cabinet and thinking about the hibiscus drink people try today, the sorrel, and how one of the stories in there is from Haleen Green, who's the garden queen who lives in Atlanta, but she's originally from Jamaica and talks about growing roselle hibiscus sorrel to make tea, where she was originally a nurse, but now she's interested in sharing her tradition around hibiscus as a healing food. And then I guess another way of looking at ideas of food as medicine is through a Native American lens, and where to quote, and I got this off the National Institute of Health stuff, the wellness of the individual is inseparable from harmony within family, community, and pride in one's heritage. And so I think about when we come together for conversations, like the one that we're having today, with Dr. Smith, or sharing food prepared by Chef Aswathi, and the activities we're doing this afternoon, seed cabinet, dyeing, planting herbs, and we're sharing our ideas and traditions as a community or a group. And then just thinking about the communities, I'm on a calendar, as many people here are on that calendar of school with fall semester coming up, and thinking about all the different communities, that we belong to, or in school or classes, where we live, the neighborhood we choose to live in, the groups that we decide to affiliate ourselves with. And I think when we all come together, especially around food in the broadest sense, like that is a kind of medicine.
And another way that we can think about medicine is sustainability. Because if we don't think about sustainability, then none of the things we just talked about will continue to exist. And then our ecosystem falls apart. So I hope that one of the things you're taking away from this is how interconnected everything and everyone is. And so our next to last question is, for each of you, what does sustainability look like in your field? So you represent different spaces. There's the mixture of like farming, there's nonprofits, there's sports science, there's all these different arts. What does sustainability look like in your field, and how do you practice it in your work? And anyone can go first.
Oh, yeah, sure. So there's a lot I could talk about with sustainability in art, and I'm not going to. And I think sustainability a lot for me is the topics that I choose to make art about, which is like food, farming, composting, and forestry. I think those are really connected to sustainability. I use natural materials in my work, but I also use computers and electronics that definitely contribute to the degradation of the environment, unless they're recycled, which is rare, and the labor and working conditions that go into making our digital devices, which is not optimal with respect maybe to standards in the United States. And so I think ideas of recycling and reusing are present in the choice even to use like a surplus card catalog as a metaphor. And then just, on a personal level, when I do build things like repurposing electronic components and circuits, so they don't go back into the waste stream.
So I'm going to talk about something that I think is maybe not expected when we talk about sustainability, because I think I'm maybe making assumptions. Like when we think about sustainability, we think about more the ecological and environmental sustainability, and that's certainly why all of us have gotten into what we're doing. But having run a nonprofit for 13 years now and being adjacent to other people that work in the nonprofit realm and just our culture in general, I wanted to speak a little bit about the human sustainability. So behind all of the work that we all do there's people doing the work. And especially in the nonprofit world, there tends to be this burnout syndrome because people love their work so much and they're not getting paid much, but there's tons of work to do and you just work and you work and you work until you fall out of passion of what you're doing and you feel taken advantage of and you feel tired and you don't want to do it anymore, or you keep doing it for years and years and it's insane. And sometimes there's not a lot you can do about it in the broader culture of how our culture exists with this like mindset of go fast and break things and work hard. Like we kind of say we're busy with a badge of honor instead of it being something we shouldn't admit to. So we do have some control in our nonprofit, and it's always been, even though it's hard to do, always at the top of our list amongst all the things that we're here to do, like save seeds and teach kids about gardening and help local businesses launch business. The people behind all that work we care a lot about, and so we've really kept it a priority to try to make it sustainable for them to do the work. So whenever it's possible, giving people raises, having very generous paid time off so that we feel balanced and we don't feel guilty about taking time off, giving people a lot of flexibility in how they design their days. So if we have really busy weeks because there's a summer camp or it's just spring season and we're just go, and then we just expect that people aren't going to show up for a few days or a couple weeks. Most of the people that work for us are women, and most of them have children, and they're the brunt of the household labor still. So when there is a sick child or a medical appointment or something needs to get done, it is done. There's no guilt. There's no you paying for that time off, so you get that time off. So we've really, really tried to, as much as we can, invest in the people so they feel like they're welcome at their job and they're accepted and they're loved. Why am I crying so much today? Good Lord. Sometimes my emotions are like right at the top and sometimes they're just like stuffed right down. I guess today is at the surface level. Anyways, so we've really tried to be thoughtful about the sustainability of the people that are behind the work that we do and making that our workplace culture. That like, yes, we do lots of hard work and we're out in the community and it's the nonprofit world and we're busting our ass, but we take care of people so they can actually do the work.
Really quickly, I just want to say thank you for centering people within ecology. And I'll say this and then I'll pass it on to Dina. I had a Nigerian colleague when I was at Purdue that said something that stayed with me. She said, you typically treat people as one of three ways: scenery, machinery, or people. If they're scenery, you just walk by them, you barely even notice them if you do. If it's machinery, you only think about what they can do for you. But when you see people as people, you remember that you too are people and you treat them with love, respect, and honor. And I feel like sometimes we forget that about people. So thank you for doing that.
Thank you. Wow, that's hard to follow. Absolutely beautiful and completely agree. In thinking about sustainability, where my mind goes right now is also another layer of problem solving. Like, how do we think about our local context? How do you think about the people and the ecosystem and the need and the society? And how do we weave it together to solve the problems that need to be solved? And I think one of the fun things about where we are in this point in time, that we get to pull on everything from like ancient knowledge to modern technology. And so we get to look at the whole suite of things that we have learned throughout history and use them when we can. Like, there's some really ancient technologies, like composting has been done for ages, and biochar, this idea of like, this dark earth that can be incredibly nutrient absorptive and help for soil development. And so there's all these techniques that are ancient techniques that we can use. And then there's also a lot of really amazing modern technology. Like, I was just chatting with the Braised Young folks, and apparently she created a genetically modified form of wheat that is more productive and resilient to drought. And so, we have somebody in our midst right now who's doing that work, and we have an enormous community of plant breeders at UF looking at how do we create plants that are resilient to climate change, that are resilient to all the pests and diseases and all the things that are coming this way. But then there's also the balance of like making sure that the new things you're coming up with are not going to have unintended consequences. And so being careful about the new, respecting and learning from the old, and kind of bringing it all together, I think is where my mind with sustainability goes. And it's always going to be different because every context is different and your resources are different in every situation. And so thinking about the needs of the people, the needs of the environment, and society as a whole, like how do you hit well-being through problem solving and using basically like, we live at a time where we have an enormous amount of history and written history, and looking back at all this material history, how can we learn from archaeological methods, and how can we learn from modern techniques and just use the most relevant tools and the most problem-solving methods we can come up with. And so aiming for that, keeping everyone fed, keeping all of our plant and animal neighbors happy, and doing what we can to find that balance.
Thank you. So now you've gotten an idea of the people that is leading the workshop. Aren't they incredible people? Yeah. All right, exactly. So now, really quickly, because we're right at time, if you could just let us know, just give a little taste, a little snippet, a little sample of what this installation or what your activity or workshop is about. And Melissa, we can start with you, and then we'll work our way over.
So in this room, we're going to be creating art made from plant-based pigments. So as an artist that's around plants all the time, I found it super fascinating to see which ones make color. So I've already made a whole bunch of inks, and there's a few berries back there that I harvested yesterday that you can squeeze and make into inks. And so it's just kind of like an open creative session. I have coloring sheets if you don't feel like you're artistic and want to draw. We're just going to have a whole palette of natural colors available in ink format for you to play with, and I'll answer any questions and give any tips if you want to play with that. Don't feel like you can only come if you're an artist. Anyone.
Installations in the other room. I'll be in there to answer questions and facilitate. I guess 2 tiny things when interacting with seed cabinet: just open one drawer at a time, watch the video, close the drawer, then go on to the next drawer, and it's on the wall next to that. And don't open multiple drawers at once. And don't put food and drinks on seed cabinet. But I do look forward to talking and meeting and hearing your stories about seeds, gardening, and cooking.
And speaking of seeds, if you want to plant your own, I will be right next door, and so we will be playing with these guys. As insane as they are, they all have tons of seeds at the base, so we'll have some ability to plant them, and then I'll also be giving these fellows away. And then we'll also be smelling and nibbling and looking at some of the herbs that I brought and learning about also different ways to propagate. So seeds are an amazing way to plant things, but I also have some garlic chives, which are incredibly nutritious, and you can propagate by separating them out in clumps and then plant them individually. And we have some cuttings of rosemary that you can do, so we can play with lots of different ways of propagating plants, and everybody will take some plants back, so we can nibble, smell, plant, get a fun time.
All right, so now don't forget, you're gonna need this. Make sure that your name is written on it. And as you go to each station, you're gonna wanna get it stamped, okay? So make sure you have that. We're gonna take a 2-minute break, all right, to settle out. Think about which one you're gonna go to first. Make sure you get to them all.
All right, are we ready?
Yeah.
So much suspense. And the first, we were gonna do one prize, but everybody hung out to the end, so we're gonna split it up and we're gonna do 3 things. So the first person that gets picked gets to choose between these 2 things. This is a amazing, beautiful College of the Arts t-shirt. Yes, clap for that. Not to be outmatched with a glass, not plastic, glass water bottle with cork top on it. This is fantastic. Also, that's the second prize. And then your grand prize. Very, very rare circulation. Cane tote bag, plus a bag full of goodies and a Cane t-shirt. All right, all right. Okay, the first name is
Luna Restrepo.
Come on up, Luna. All right, you get to choose between the wonderful t-shirt or the water bottle. She was like, I'm all about the water bottle. All right, all right. Our second name, going for the t-shirt. And the name is?
Crystal.
It is, of course, my mother. I did not pull a name. Yay! She's like, you gonna throw it back already, or you want me to bring it to you? I'm gonna bring it to you.
Next year we'll have more grant funding.
Yes. Next year we're gonna raise some more money, and we'll have even better prizes. And let me take this moment to say, fill out the survey. Subscribe to the newsletter. And there's another link somewhere that says if you want to give Kane $5 or $5,000, you can do that as well. All right? And our grand prize winner. Dun, 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 dun.
Obet Luzario.
Oh, but I have one request. You should pull the stuff out of the bag. It's a bunch of amazing things. And so people can go, ooh, and ah, and all of these things.
There is a slide.
The first thing is one of the best orange t-shirts you will ever find, a Kane t-shirt, yes.
College of the Arts journal.
Journal, never ever go wrong with the journal. A gator that I don't know, we don't know what it does, but it looks interesting. It will hold pencils, it will hold pencils. Another random gator, yes, there's a theme building here. A lot of paper, event stickers, all of the things. Oh, and recipes. And a lanyard. Yes. Woo! Exactly. Yesterday and something today. All yesterday. All yesterday.
I think there's a color changing pencil.
All types of goodies. Ooh. Thank you so much, Owen. I want to do one thing specifically before we go to close out, and that's to thank all of the partners that made this happen, specifically our friends at IFAS, Dr. Carla Shellnut. We appreciate you and the support and the ideas. Our friends at the Rural Women's Health Project that came and presented yesterday, Working Food, and more so than anything else, the incredible staff at CAME. So, let me start with one of the people that helped to make this thing happen is not here, and that's Jeremy Fresco. Jeremy was the one that was like, we should definitely do this thing. And then Marie and I and Lexi got to the reality that says Jeremy does not live in Gainesville, and when it's time to actually do all the work, Jeremy is going to be at home relaxing, and we're going to be at work on a Saturday. So please give it up for Jeremy Fresco. And those that know him did a lot of work, specifically helped to write this proposal that got us here, so we're really appreciative of that. Our friends at Creative B, which is a program that comes out of the College of the Arts, and specifically the Provost Office, which helps provide the funding for that. So next time you see Joe Glover, tell Joe Glover, keep the hope alive for Creative B. We appreciate those funds. So I want to give a shout out to Lexi Braun, and to Raven Gale, and to Marie Kessler, and to Kevin Kimtai for their incredible work to make all of this happen, to transform this space that is super bland into something that is beautiful and colorful and feels like home whenever we're here. So we greatly, greatly appreciate them. And I appreciate all of you all for getting up on a Saturday and coming to hang out. And last, but certainly not least, a big shout out to our facilitator and in many ways, idea therapy guider, Dr. Ariel D. Smith, who came all the way from North Carolina to come and hang out with us here. As you look at these links up here, please take a moment to take the survey. Your feedback helps for us to give the feedback back to the folks that put funds into this to make this happen. We are hoping that this becomes one of many. What I see when I look around is I see students, I see faculty members, I see community members, I see providers, I see educators. This is the type of work that we want to focus on. This is something that is very, very important to us. We're excited because we believe that there's a space for this type of work to continue, and that happens with your feedback, your input, your ideas, your connections, so that we continue to build and grow our community. So thank you all so much for making time. On August 29th, for those that know, we are, right now, we have artists at the old Girl Scouts building on 8th Avenue, Oakview. We have a program that we named Spark Place. Spark is a project that sits between the Center for Arts, Migration, and Entrepreneurship and the Center for Arts and Medicine. The concept around Spark is that we know that whenever there is arts in a space, the people are better. We don't talk about the concept of arts as it is just pretty and beautiful, which it is, amazing, gorgeous, and beautiful, and also helps us to heal and build community with each other. And so it's not about what arts is, it's about what arts can do. And so over this last, seems like 12 years, but it's probably been only 3 months. This last summer, we've had 9 artists in residence at Oakview, as well as at a music studio locally, building and creating their work. And really leaning into the idea that if we give artists space to create their work, good things are going to happen. And so this is a pilot program that we've run thanks to funding that we have from the Mellon Foundation and through an incredible partnership with the city of Gainesville, specifically their folks in Parks and Rec, to allow this space to be there, and we're in conversations about the possibility of it extending. But we're going to close out this particular part of the program on August 29th from 6 to 8 at Oakview. Come by. We'll have some food. There's going to be music. The artists are going to be showing some of their work. So definitely get that on your calendar and get connected to that. These are all of the things that I had in my brain. Okay, I'm going to pass to Ariel to give us some words as we go to close out. Before I pass to Ariel, are there any other folks that have specific announcements of information? I want to make sure that I'm not skipping over. Yes, ma'am.
I just want to mention to the group that there is a community group here in Gainesville called Grow Gainesville.
Grow Gainesville.
It's centered around food and community and helping people learn about growing their own food and interacting with others. It's the third Monday of every month at the VFW on Waldo Road. We have a potluck at 6:30 and then the speakers at 7.
Awesome, awesome. Get connected to Grow Gainesville. That is exactly the type of community that we're trying to build. There is still food left, correct?
Yes, and there's to-go boxes.
Food and to-go boxes, because at Kane we come prepared and we're thinking about you later on this evening. So young people, don't be shy. Whenever you come to a Kane event, we ask that you leave with a plate because we don't want to carry it back home. So make sure you get some food on the way back. All right, I'm going to pass to Ariel now. Thank you.
Thank you. Did you learn today?
Yes.
Did you grow today?
Yes.
Did a piece of you heal today? Maybe. Maybe something that you may not pick up today, but you may learn it in the by and by. So let's just take a moment. Oshabi had you stretch and stand up at the beginning. I ain't gonna have you do that, but I'm gonna have you take a moment, make sure your feet are flat on the ground. Have your hands in your lap. Sit back straight. Close your eyes for a moment. Take note of where you are. Take note of your breathing. You've digested a lot today, literally and figuratively over the past couple of days. For some of you, you've been with us since yesterday. For some of you, today was your first day. Either way, you've taken in a lot. And I am crazy enough to believe that there is something that is going to stick with you after this event. So I want you to think about, what was that thing that stuck with you? When you have it, I want you to take in a really deep breath. Hold it. And slowly release it. Okay? I think it's important as we do this hustle and bustle. We've done a lot, we've moved a lot, we've written a lot, said a lot, that we just take a moment to just be. It's a rarity in our society that we just be. Okay. I want you to sit with that thing. Now, here's what I want you to do. You're welcome to open your eyes if you still want to keep them closed for a little bit. That's cool. I want you to think about, yes, food is medicine moving forward. But like I said, we hope that you have a place of curiosity, right? What else in your life can be medicine? Is it music? Yeah, we right here on that. Is it art? Is it dance? Is it just being out in nature? Is it laughter? I hope that, yes, I want you to understand that food is medicine and find ways to incorporate that in your day-to-day. We've given you so many ways to do that, whether it's planting seeds, whether it's being mindful of the food that you eat, and can you read the ingredients that's in it? Are they natural ingredients? Yes, all of those things, and thinking about, recipes you make when you're homesick and the recipes that make up you. But I also hope that you find all the different ways that medicine shows up in your life. It's very easy in our society to find the things that make us sick. Real easy. When you tick me off, I may look at somebody and say, you made me sick. But what are the moments where people make us well and whole? I implore you to think about those spaces, to think about those people, to think about those activities, and find ways to incorporate them more into your day-to-day. For some of you, that may look like taking a class here. That sparked your curiosity. You met some amazing instructors and faculty and professors that do some amazing things here. That might be your medicine this semester.
It might be an opportunity for you to volunteer at a nonprofit. You heard about a lot of great ones over the past couple of days. That could be medicine for you. You also heard that I love Shaka Khan's Through the Fire. You can listen to that. That could also be medicine for you. But I want you to find your medicine. Because in you finding your medicine, you also give people the opportunity to find theirs. And that is what this is all about. So I'm so grateful that I had the opportunity to do this here. I've done kitchen table pedagogy at Wake Forest. I've had the opportunity to teach about it and present about it in a lot of different ways. I was just in Amsterdam a couple of months ago presenting on it. But this is the first time I've gotten the opportunity to execute kitchen table pedagogy at a different place. And I'm just so grateful and so thankful to you all for being open to it, for participating, for bringing yourselves into the space, and to Kane for saying, hey, first they asked me last year, I want to say like last March, to present about it. I did it virtually, and then to come back in December and say, would you be open to doing it here? So thank you for seeing the work that I do and bringing it here into a space like this. I'm very grateful for that. And I'm so thankful to each and every one of you, those who shared their stories, whether you did it over the microphone or you wrote it on the note cards or on the tablecloths. I just want to say thank you for bringing yourselves into this full experience. And my website, if you can't remember Ari Demi Enterprises, you can remember my name, ArielDSmith.com, because I own that too. So if you want, gotta be an entrepreneur. So anyway you want to connect with me, I'm happy to do it. Thank you all, and I hope you have a wonderful time. Thank you so much.